91%. Chapter 361 Promotion to 6th rank, Xiao Xuanzi's visit, subscription required. On the same day, a fiery red figure suddenly appeared from the seals on Yi Zai's hands. The phoenix soaring into the sky, a red flame protruded from its mouth, and in the blink of an eye, the sky was dense, and the loud phoenix song also broke out. The dazzling phoenix flame cut through the sky, almost replacing the dazzling sun's light, and as it rose, the flames gradually receded, revealing a huge figure. The fiery red feathers, with some red blood in the crystal, in a loud scream, inhaled luck, and the body gradually became huge. The people watching the ceremony looked at everything in front of them without blinking, and their expressions were slightly excited. Previously, when the Yanwang dynasty was established, it sent luck from heaven to treasure, attracting the eyes of countless people, and now when it is promoted to a grade, it can actually make the heavenly Tao pity and lower luck. This not only recognizes that the Yanwang dynasty has this strength promotion, but also recognizes him and recognizes the contribution of the Yanwang dynasty to this heaven and earth. Zhang Chushuan Big Boss Cowhide, it's only been a long time since he was promoted from the 6th Pin dynasty to the 5 Pin dynasty. Alas, the big guy is the big guy, we can't compare. Now my family is still just a small family in decline of the 8th rank, I'm afraid I won't be able to see it promoted to the 7th rank until death. Don't be discouraged, we have to follow in the footsteps of the big guy Zhang Chushuan, maybe we can get the favor of the big guy and help our family promote. Hey, just think about it. The people who crossed over were no longer one at this time. But fortunately, these people will not die every day like they just crossed over, but every once in a while, news of the family's demise will come into everyone's eyes. This news often makes everyone sigh, and at the same time, they are more diligent in improving their strength, looking forward to going further. They have been able to survive until now, naturally they have some skills and led the family to become strong. Originally, in everyone's communication, I thought that my speed was against the sky, and some big guys had successfully promoted to the 7-pin family, high above. But now compared with Zhang Chushuan, it is far behind. Although there is only a 6-rank gap in the middle, the gap is difficult to fill, otherwise the ancestor of the Lin dynasty would not have broken through desperately and wanted to promote the dynasty, but in the end it ended in a gloomy situation. Chirp. After a quarter of an hour, the phoenix seemed to have absorbed enough luck, and his body flipped and flipped, instantly returning to the seal. The seal representing the Yanwang dynasty was so bright in an instant that many people couldn't open their eyes. When the light dissipated, the seal had been solemnly collected by Yi Shi, handed over to the maid beside him, and sent back to the palace. Boom, one by one. Next to everyone's ears, there seemed to be a roar, and when everyone looked at it together, the Queen Yi Shi in a phoenix robe seemed to be more brilliant, and her body was bathed in a peaceful golden light. Slowly opening her eyes, Queen Yi Shi looked down at all sentient beings, and her lips slightly opened. From today onwards, a Yanwang dynasty, promoted to the 5th grade, hereby announced to the world. Congratulations to the Queen. In an instant, the people who came to watch the ceremony spoke out one after another to express their respect in their hearts. The Xuanjia soldiers and guards on both sides were even half kneeling and bowed down to Yi Shi. Everyone, get up. After calmly accepting everyone's worship, Yi Shi slowly raised his hand and signaled everyone to get up. From today onwards, when the banquet is held for 3 days and 3 nights, thank God for mercy, my Yanwang dynasty will protect tens of thousands of people in the territory in the future and ensure eternal health. 9. Queen Xie. Everyone thanked Yi Zai's kindness, and only after he left the front of the stage did they start talking. The queen seems to be looking good again. Tisk, you still want to hit the queen's mind. Lord Prince may have skinned you all. Hee hee, just sigh, the queen is high, how can I covet it? However, I am very happy to see the successful promotion of the dynasty. That is, now in the south of Lingzhou domain, after this ceremony, who doesn't know my Yanwang dynasty? In the future, I will have more face when I go out. After all, now, there are only 4 of the 5-rank forces in the southern part of Lingzhou domain. Haha, don't worry, at that time, my Yanwang dynasty will definitely dominate the southern part of the Lingzhou domain and become a unique existence in the world. The discussion of the crowd Zhang Chushuan and the others were not heard. At this time, Yi Shi was looking at him and said as if inviting credit, how is it, my performance today is not bad, right? Great. 99. Pinch the other party's nose, Zhang Chushuan said with a smile. Promoted to the Wupan dynasty, the burden on you will be heavier in the future, and the scale of this minister is also time to expand. This husband can rest assured, I have been prepared for a long time, and I believe that soon all the ministers will take office, and there will be no trouble at that time. Zaire is amazing. Giving a thumbs up to Yi Shi, Zhang Chushuan was smiling. Seeing this, Yi Shi was also smiling. Your lordship, your royal highness. Suddenly, a maid hurriedly arrived, disrupting the atmosphere between the two. Glaring at this maid, Yi Shi sorted out her clothes and said calmly, "What's the matter?" The maid also seemed to realize that she had disturbed the good thing between the two, and hurriedly knelt down and said, "There are two people outside who want to see you, and Lord Prince. One is a Taoist named Xiao Xuanzi, and the other is Elder Ao Han of the Dragon King Hall." When Yi Shi heard this, he immediately looked towards Zhang Chushuan, Xiao Xuanzi. Does Fu Jun know this person? Aha, he's a friend he met outside for his husband, invite him in. The elder of the Dragon King Hall. Let him in too. 99. Yes, your lord. The maid left in a hurry, afraid that staying for one more second would make Zhang Chushuan and Yi Shi both unhappy and take her life. Taoist, long time no see. When Xiao Xuanzi and Elder Ao Wei arrived, Zhang Chushuan and Yi Shi were already seated. Hee, Taoist friends, please sit down quickly. Zhang Chushuan nodded and smiled, and after signaling Xiao Xuanzi to sit down, he did not speak. Yi Shi smiled at this time and said, I don't know that Elder Ao Han and this Taoist friend came from afar, and they were not well entertained before, so they invited two strangers. 35. Hee, it's okay. Waving his hand, Ao Han said, the old man also heard that the Gui dynasty was promoted to the 5th rank, so he dared to come to congratulate him, and he asked Queen Yi Shi and the prince not to dislike it. Quote. With that, a storage bag flew out of Elder Ao Hui's hand, handed it to the palace maid, and passed it to Yi Shi. Signaling the maid to send her subordinates, Yi Shi nodded. It is my Yanwang dynasty's honor that Elder Ao Han can come, so polite. 99. Hee. The old man sees that the Yanwang dynasty is new and vigorous, and has a great future in the future. I hope Her Royal Highness will take more care. 91%. Chapter 362. The Hidden Child of Luck. Let's go mine, subscription required. After Yi Shi, Elder Ao Han and Xiao Xuanzi were polite, they shirked the handling of government affairs and handed over the place to Zhang Chushuan. Xiao Daoyu, when did you come to the Yanwang dynasty? Hee, it's been a while. Smiling, Xiao Xuanzi looked a little embarrassed. I knew that Yunai was the prince of the Yanwang dynasty, and I had to be cheeky and greeted early when I said anything. 95. You and I are friends, don't be so polite. Shaking his head, Zhang Chushuan suddenly thought of what he had talked about with Yi Shi before, so he said to Xiao Xuanzi, Xiao Daoyu, my Yanwang dynasty is short of people at this time, I don't know what you plan next. If you don't dislike it, I still hope that Taoist friends can stay in the Yanwang dynasty. The meaning of the solicitation was very obvious, and Xiao Xuanzi agreed after a little thought. It just so happens that the poor road is also tired, so you might as well borrow it for a while. However, I also met 3 husband and wife in the city, Jianzan and Zhao Ju, who were waiting for news of the poor road in the inn. Quote. Ha, then it's better. Zhang Chushuan did not expect that Zhao Ju and Jianzan really came to the Yanwang dynasty, and suddenly thought, Xiao Daoyu, I have a reluctant request. Zhang Daoyu said clearly. 35. Xiao Xuanzi also put away his smile at this time, his face was solemn. Zhao Ju and Jianzan, I also want them to stay in the Yanwang dynasty, but this requires a lot of Taoist friends. Poor Dao do his best. Nodding slightly, Xiao Xuanzi agreed. In a good mood, Zhang Chushuan's attitude towards Ao Han also improved a lot. Elder Ao, how much is Fang Kai snubbed? Lord Prince is polite. Ao Han smiled and said to him, if the old man hadn't joined any forces, he would have been moved after seeing such a weather in the Yanwang dynasty, which would be a pity. However, the old man still has to congratulate the prince for this good talent. Taoist friends are polite. Zhang Chushuan and Xiao Xuanzi almost spoke in unison, thanking Ao Wei. After chatting for a while, Elder Ao Han still put things on the right track. Lord Prince and the old man have one thing, and I have to ask in advance. Quote. Elder Ao, please speak. Zhang Chushuan's heart was like a mirror, naturally knowing that it was related to the Water Dragon Hall, and basically saw the attitude of the Dragon King Hall. The Hall Master has no opinion on the Yanwang dynasty's subduing of the Water Dragon Hall AEE, and this congratulatory gift was sent by the Hall Master to the old man. Then after Elder Ao asks Elder Ao to go back, thank your Hall Master for me. Hee, you're welcome. Waving his hand, Ao Han said with a straight face. but in the Hall of the Dragon King, it is not the Hall Master's word, and the other forces have united to faintly have the capital to compete with the Hall Master. The Hall Master's side can naturally guarantee that he will not be displeased, but the other forces, the old man is not easy to say. With his eyes narrowed slightly, Zhang Chushuan seemed to be pondering, and after Xiao Xuanzi's reminder, he came back to his senses and nodded towards Elder Ao Hun and said, I already know it in my heart, thank you Elder Ao for your kindness. 35. In the future, you and I will be the same big forces in the southern part of the Lingzhou domain, and we will inevitably intersect in the future. After the two sides talked for a while, Ao Hun took his leave, leaving time for Zhang Chushuan and Xiao Xuanzi. Under the leadership of Zhang Chushuan, Xiao Xuanzi saw the scenery of the palace of the Yanwang dynasty, and was amazed along the way. After arranging for Xiao Xuanzi to live in the palace, Zhang Chushuan returned to the Zhang family and found Yi Feng's son. Seeing his solemn face, Yi Feng thought that he had done something wrong, which made his great benefactor angry. Patriarch, I don't know if I did something wrong, or 35. Yi Feng, did you absorb part of your luck during the promotion ceremony? B. Yes, I couldn't help it at that time, please the head of the house. The head of the house punishes. 39. With a pop, Yi Feng slumped, and his figure trembled a little. However, to his surprise, Zhang Chushuan directly stepped forward to help him up, and said with a smile, it's nothing, anyway, there is a lot of luck that has not been absorbed, you collect a little, now I will give you a thing, I don't know if you want it or not. 35. Patriarch, you saved my life, although it is only a show of hands for you, but it is very gracious to me, please ask the Patriarch to do whatever he wants. Yi Feng, who had just stood up, also knelt on one knee at this time and bowed his head towards Zhang Chushuan. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan didn't pay much attention to it, but said, in the middle of the Water Dragon Hall in my Yanwang dynasty, there is a spirit stone vein with countless resources, and I plan to send you there to mine that mineral together with Lu Tianan. After finishing in the store, Zhang Chushuan ordered Lu Tianan to go to the place and let his sergeants act as miners to dig the veins. Moreover, that place is not very far from the Water Dragon Hall. In case Lu Tianan has a change, the Water Dragon Hall will also quickly find out, so as to make a countermeasure. As for him sending Yi Feng, it was also because he saw the hidden luck on his body, plus the wooden box he was carrying behind his back. The wooden box is full of yin qi. It seems that there are countless unjust souls in it, although the mineral vein was overtaken by Zhang Chushuan and the two of them some ghosts, but there are still many residues, maybe the wooden box behind Yi Feng can help one or two. Patriarch, I'm ready to go. Stunned for a moment, Yi Feng nodded solemnly, turned around and left. With more luck, the cultivation speed of everyone in the Yanwang dynasty is faster, and almost every day soldiers or family members break through, and everything is thriving. After staying in the palace for more than a month, seeing that the 3-5 rank forces had not moved, Zhang Chushuan was ready to set off again. Always nestled at home, it is impossible to have more gains. When the time comes, how can you take the Yanwang dynasty and the Zhang family to progress? The previous springs, such as swallowing windy eggs, or colorless lotus flowers, are slowly blossoming and bearing fruit under the care of everyone in the family, and some winds have hatched, but they are not up to the requirements of flying mounts. Chang Shang also established a rule for this. Anyone who has made outstanding contributions to the Yanwang dynasty or the Zhang family can choose one of the two. This makes everyone very clean, and most people want to get a flying mount like Gale. Okay, I'm leaving, you guys practice well at home, wait for me to come back. 99. On this day, Zhang Chushuan stood at the gate of the Zhang family, bidding farewell to his wife and descendants. Everyone's faces were full of reluctance, and Zhang Yanran Chuyun and the others even wanted to follow, but they were rejected by Zhang Chushuan. Now, Zhang Yanran's strength is faintly behind, but it can't meet Zhang Chushuan's requirements, and it may be dangerous to keep up. Well, this time, you can go to the Day Dynasty first, and by the way, go to the Su family to have a look. 91%. Chapter 363 Soul Broken Mountain Range, Yin Soldier Borrowed Way. Subscription required. The Su family, a 6-pin family in the territory of the Day Dynasty, is one of the 4 top 6-rank families, ranking 3rd, and its strength is not strong. Previously, because of Su Luqi's affairs, Zhang Chushuan noticed this family. It just so happened that there was no particularly clear goal for this trip, so Zhang Chushuan decided to go on a trip, and maybe there was a surprise. The Yanwang dynasty and the Day dynasty are far away, and he is not in a hurry, stopping and walking along the way, and slowly approaching his destination while admiring the surrounding scenery by the way. Oh, isn't that much more fun than an outing? At this time, Zhang Chushuan was roasting a hare by an official road. Under the scorching fire, the rabbit meat is nourished with oil, and the aroma comes to the face. After waiting for a long time, Zhang Chushuan finally burst out laughing and began to eat happily. Da-da, da-da. Suddenly, there was a sound of horses' hooves from not far away, and he looked for Prestige and found that it was a huge team, which seemed to be delivering goods. After a little thought, Zhang Chushuan solved the roast rabbit meat by two, came to the team, and asked, "In the next Zhang Chushuan, where are you going?" "There are 2 or 3 days ahead, passing through the soul-broken mountain range, where there are many powerful races, so Zhang Chushuan also wants to take a ride to avoid unnecessary trouble." The team slowly stopped, and a middle-aged man walked out of it. I saw him wearing an animal skin coat crossbody on his upper body, revealing his solid arms. From the forehead to the corner of the mouth, there is a hideous scar on the face, which looks very penetrating. Hearing this, the man returned the salute and said in a deep voice, "Just call me Baden, our caravan is ready to pass through the soul-broken mountain range and send a batch of goods." Looking behind Baton, sure enough, in the long queue, almost no one was riding in a convoy of demon beasts and unicorns, but there were many large boxes in the carriage behind them. The unicorn horse is an ordinary monster beast in the soul-broken mountain range and the demon beast mountain range. They are gentle and willing to get close to people. After someone discovered their great endurance and strength, they were used to transport goods, which continue to this day. Hee. In the next person through the soul-broken mountain range, a little scared, can you let me walk with your team? Speaking, Zhang Chushuan stretched out his hand, and a few Shengpin spirit stones fell into Baden's hands. "This is a deposit. When you get out of the soul-broken mountain range, I will pay you back." 35. Originally, Baton was ready to refuse. After all, there was suddenly one more guy of unknown origin in the team, which may cause a lot of trouble. But Zhang Chushuan's generosity made him hate it again. After struggling internally for a long time, Badan finally nodded and agreed. "Then Taoist friends will follow us, but after entering the soul-broken mountain range, you must follow our orders, otherwise you will run into a catastrophe." Hee. Please rest assured about this, I naturally won't joke about my own lives and yours. Nodding, Zhang Chushuan walked side by side with Baton, and the short-stayed team set off again for the soul-broken mountain range. Because it was not yet time for the whole body to be on alert, Badan seized the time and took the initiative to talk to Zhang Chushuan. "Taoist, I don't know who you are. This road is generally only taken by caravans like us." Quote. Hee. I'm from the Yanwang dynasty. 33. This place is relatively close to the Yanwang dynasty, and Zhang Chushuan did not hide it. After staying at home for a long time, I wanted to come out and go around, and I was worried that I couldn't find someone to cross the soul-broken mountain range with me, so I met you. Taoist luck is really good. 35. Nodding approvingly, Baton looked solemn. As far as I know, anyone who enters the soul-broken mountain range alone, except for the powerful seniors, no one can come out alive. Oh, the soul-broken mountain range is so dangerous. Hee. If it's not dangerous, how can it be called the soul-broken mountain range? After a few laughs, Bottom continued. By the way, I don't know what your name is. 55. Oh, my surname is Zhang. You can just call me Zhang Daoyu. Zhang Daoyu, have you ever been to the soul-broken mountain range before? Don't hide it from you. It's the first time I'm preparing to cross the soul-broken mountain range alone. No, my heart is still bottomless. 39. Ha. When I first led the team, I was just like you, and I was very worried in my heart, but over the years, I have become familiar with it a lot, but when I entered the soul-broken mountain range, I was still very nervous. These words brought the relationship between Zhang Chushuan and Baton a lot closer, and the two talked and laughed, leading the caravan forward. 0 Asking for flowers. 3 days later, the procession stopped in front of a huge mountain range. Although the official road has been extended into it, everyone has a solemn face at this time, and even Baton, who has always talked and laughed with Zhang Chushuan on the road, also closed his mouth at this time and stared forward nervously. Baton Taoist, why did you step forward? It's still early. Looking at the sky, Baton explained to Zhang Chushuan. Basically, at this time of day, it is the time when the powerful demon beasts in the soul-broken mountain range finish foraging and return to the nest, and we go in at this time, maybe we will encounter trouble. At this time, it was dawn, and in order to hurry, they left enough space to deal with what might happen in the soul-broken mountain range, and they were also rushing at night. 0. Fortunately, it is not in the evening to arrive at the entrance of the soul-broken mountain range, otherwise you will have to wait for one more night. When Zhang Chushuan heard this, he nodded in understanding and rested in place with everyone. Go. At noon, Baton called the resting caravan members and drove the unicorn into the soul-broken mountain range. The ancient tombs of the soul-broken mountain range are towering, and even the sunlight can't shine in, and it still feels gloomy at noon. The caravan walked quietly on the forest road, and they all closed their mouths, their eyes constantly wandering around, beware of changes. Zhang Chushuan didn't feel too much. After all, he hadn't felt the aura that could threaten him, so his expression was the most relaxed. Captain Baton, tell me about the soul-broken mountain range. Perhaps feeling bored, Zhang Chushuan finally couldn't help but speak. Hearing this, Ba Dan pondered a little and said, I only know that in this soul-broken mountain range, it may be an ancient battlefield, although the landscape of this land has changed greatly after the vicissitudes of the sea, but the danger has not decreased at all. In addition to the powerful races living in it, it is said that every day, groups of Yin soldiers pass by here. 35. At that time, even these powerful races will retreat until they leave completely, and then they will swear their hegemonic status. So, Zhang Daoyu, we need to rush to the supply depot before the sub-hour and stay for an hour before leaving. Yin soldier borrowed the way. That's kind of interesting. Chuan. 92%. Chapter 364 Ancient Existence, Pure Yin General, subscription required. When Zhang Chushuan heard this, a curious look appeared in his eyes, but he was a little interested in this Yin soldier. But Ba Dan was secretive and said bluntly, Zhang Daoyu, if we encounter Yin soldiers borrowing the way, I think it is better for us to hide away. Once they find out, in the next period of time, there will be bad luck, and the body will also be hit by the thick Yin Qi, ranging from a serious illness to death on the spot and becoming one of them. Therefore, please don't move around when the time comes. Seeing the eager look in Zhang Chushuan's eyes, Bottom thought for a long time, but couldn't help but advise. Nodding, Zhang Chushuan said, Don't worry, I won't cause trouble for Captain Baton. Along the way, the caravan had good luck, did not encounter any demon beasts, and came to the supply station in the soul-broken mountain range when it was about to get dark. The supply, 450, station is like a huge castle, surrounded by high walls, except for one entrance and exit in front of the road, which is quiet at this time and no one appears. Jingle bells. Jingle bells. The crisp sound of bells came from the caravan, and at the door of the supply station, a young man in green clothes dressed as a young man immediately appeared, trotting towards Baden and the others. Captain Baton, are you going to business again? Aha, it's just mixed food. Smiling and nodding, Baton handed the reins of the unicorn horse in his hand to the little second-hand and said, Make arrangements, we will spend the night at the supply depot tonight, and we can't continue walking. 35. Well, there are still a lot of rooms in the store, you group of people, you can stay. I'll go and settle the horses first, Captain Baton, and take your men first. Good. Obviously, Baton was familiar with the people here, and without Shower leading the way, he walked straight to an inn at the door. Zhang Chushuan glanced up, and the four big characters, Soul Broken Inn, came into view, and he couldn't help but whisper, the name of this inn. Does Zhang Daoyu want to say that something is unlucky? Smiling, Ba Dan didn't care. Actually, in this supply station, there were originally many inns, but after countless attacks of demon beasts, they suffered heavy losses, and there was only one that could be saved. So everyone says that the name of this inn looks bad, but it is also the safest place in the soul-broken mountain range, blessing the safety of passing caravans. Go, Zhang Daoyu, let's go first and have a good night's rest, and leave early tomorrow morning. Aha, 35. The two and the rest of the caravan, led by Showerer, came to the guest room on the second floor. The room is good, the bed is soft, it is very comfortable to sit on, and the floor is all made of the fur of the monster beast. Walking on it, you can't even make a sound. After a brief inspection, Zhang Chushuan went to the hall on the first floor and joined the caravan. Today, only their caravan can reach the Soul Breaker Inn, so it looks empty. Come on, drink. Baden pushed a jar of wine in front of Zhang Chushuan and laughed. We all live the days of licking blood from the edge of the knife, so on the road to business, we will not fail ourselves in terms of food, and there is no next meal. 99. Zhang Chushuan nodded slightly, but understood the way. The two drank some appetizers until midnight, when they parted and returned to their rooms. Lying on the bed, Zhang Chushuan couldn't help but show a smile at the corner of his mouth. Such a life, if there is no oppression of life, is relatively free, but they pin their heads to the waistband of their trousers every moment, which is very dangerous. Ooh, Zhang Chushuan, whose thoughts were wandering for a moment, was about to meditate and rest, when he suddenly heard a whimper outside the supply station. He raised his brows slightly, jumped down from the window, and came to the gate of the supply station. At this time, the gate cast in fine iron is tightly closed, and there is not a trace of light. But the yin qi around him is getting thicker and thicker. Zhang Chushuan did not expect that the yin soldiers in Baden's mouth actually appeared. Curious, he jumped out of the wall and came to the road outside. Not far away, a black, translucent armor-clad soldier was holding a long ge in his hand, and came slowly towards him. Da-da-da. The sound of horses' hooves slowly sounded in his ears, which made the curiosity in Zhang Chushuan's eyes even stronger. These are obviously ghosts, but why can they contact the things in the yang world and make sounds? Seeing that the yin soldiers were getting closer and closer, Zhang Chushuan's figure flashed and hid behind a big tree not far away, completely converging his breath zero. The yin soldier walking in the front seemed to be a general, wearing a black tattered cloak and holding a mutilated sword, sitting on a high-headed horse, looking ahead, leading his subordinates to keep moving forward. When they arrived at the door of the supply depot, the yin soldiers did not seem to notice the existence of living people here, and continued to move forward. Suddenly, the general turned his head to look in the direction where Zhang Chushuan was, and the yin soldiers all stopped at this time and turned their heads in unison. In the inn, basically everyone did not sleep. After all, in the past, the yin soldiers would often come out for a stroll for 10 days and a half, and finally disappeared. But recently, they have come out almost every night, disturbing their tranquility and making them a lot less businessmen. Baton put his ear to the window, and when he learned that the yin soldiers had stopped, he frowned slightly. Why did they stop? Not good. Suddenly, his face changed drastically, and he hurriedly ran towards Zhang Chushuan's room. Boom, one by one. Kicking open Zhang Chushuan's room, I saw that it was empty, and I didn't see him, and Baden's heart sank to the bottom. Alas, Zhang Daoyu is really, and he can't joke at this time. With that, Baton woke everyone up, including Shower in the store, and came to the gate of the supply depot together. Fortunately, the iron gate was still closed, and Ba Dan immediately said to Shower beside him, "Near the supply station, is there a place to hide and be able to watch the yin soldiers?" It's so much. Shower 4.4 is not as nervous as Baton and others. After all, the yin soldier borrowed this kind of thing. He didn't know how many times he had experienced. As long as you hide in the nearby dense forest and restrain your breath, the yin soldier will generally not care. That's fine. Hearing this, Ba Dan was relieved. After all, he didn't think that Zhang Chushuan would be stupid enough to face the yin soldiers. I'll wait to pass by, and ask Taoist friends to avoid it. The general on his horse suddenly spoke to Zhang Chushuan, "Where the collision is, I hope you will understand." 35. When Zhang Chushuan heard this, the curiosity in his eyes became stronger, and he tried to speak. "Where are you going here? Please also ask Taoist friends to avoid." But the general looked solemn, just repeated this sentence. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan flashed towards the depths of the dense forest, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. 92%. Chapter 365 Reverse Battle Yin Soldiers, 5 Ghosts Rampage, subscription required. The general did not look forward until Zhang Chushuan's figure disappeared. Immediately, he glanced towards the fortress, and then led his subordinates to continue to advance. Sensing that the yin soldiers had left, Shower Chow was humane. "Is what I said okay? They are just passing through here, and if there is nothing to do, they will not attack the humans." 39. Although they have a strong yin qi, the yang qi on my body will also cause them great damage. Of course, this is only when the strength is equal. So your companion should be fine. Let's hurry up and let him come back. After saying that, Shower yawned and returned to the inn. Baton wanted to call Zhang Chushuan back, but there was no code for contact between them, so they could only hurry. Seeing that the members of the caravan were all looking at him, Ba Dan said in a deep voice, "You guys go back to rest first. Tomorrow you have to go to business. I'll go find Zhang Daoyu. What they do in business is a credit. Even if there is only one person left in the Endo 4, only one breath left, they must try their best to deliver the items to the hands of the employer, which is why the general merchant team loses extremely quickly and is constantly replenished with fresh blood." When the rest of the teammates heard this, they glanced at Bon worriedly. "Captain, go early and return early, if you can't find it. Let's complete the employer's commission. How does that work? Hearing this, Ba Dan immediately glared at the man. Since Zhang Daoyu has paid the deposit, he can be regarded as our employer, so we can't leave him alone. If I don't come back tomorrow morning, you guys go first and I'll catch up. Captain, needless to say, go rest. Without saying a word, Baton, like Zhang Chushuan, jumped over the wall and disappeared into the thick night. After no sound was heard from the Yin soldiers, Zhang Chushuan's figure slowly appeared from behind, staring at the direction they were leaving, silent. It seems that this Yin soldier is not indiscriminately killing innocent people. It seems that he is also guarding something. Why don't you follow along? But, Baton, Zhang Chushuan suddenly regretted at this time. Why didn't he tell them before coming out? But if he told Baton and the others, he wouldn't be standing here at this time, right? Zhang Daoyu. Suddenly, a familiar voice behind him made Zhang Chushuan overjoyed. Turning to look, Zhang Chushuan smiled and said, Captain Baton, why are you here? Taoist, go back with me quickly. That Yin soldier is not something we can contact. I've just made contact with them. What? When Ba Dan heard this, his eyes immediately widened on Zhang Chushuan's body, and after seeing that he had no obvious injuries, he breathed a sigh of relief. Zhang Daoyu, do you know that this kind of behavior is very dangerous? In case of crashing into them, the consequences are unimaginable. 55. Hee, they're quite friendly. Recalling the foresight, Zhang Chushuan said seriously, Captain Baton, I decided to follow up and take a look. Do you want to go with me? No, never. Without even thinking about it, Baton sternly refused. Even if you have seen them, you must not follow along, otherwise they will treat you as an enemy, and then it will be trouble. Hee, then I'll go first. You go back and rest well. You don't have to wait for me tomorrow. Without saying a word, Zhang Chushuan pressed his toes a little, and the whole person flew into the air, rushing towards the place where the Yin soldiers disappeared. Zhang Daoyu. Baton shouted in silence from the rear, but received no response. Gritting his teeth, Ba Dan immediately followed in a deep voice. Alas, no matter what, we must also ensure the safety of Zhang Daoyu. Zhang Chushuan followed behind the Yin army and found them making a detour in the soul-broken mountain range, which eventually formed a large closed circle. At the end of the first lap, they started a second lap and soon passed the supply depot again. This time they did not stop, and continued to move forward until the sky was about to break, when they rushed into a mountain and disappeared. At this time, Zhang Chushuan's footsteps stopped, looking at the coffin-like mountain in front of him, slightly pondering. Baden, panting, came to Zhang Chushuan's side and said, Taoist, can you go back now? Don't you think, this mountain, to a coffin? 35. In the sky above the mountain, Zhang Chushuan looked down at his feet and said slowly, the Yin soldiers finally disappeared into this place, and the trajectory they walked basically revolved around this mountain. Presumably there are big secrets hidden in it. It's not something I'll be able to explore. Baton also found out about the situation, but still wanted to persuade Zhang Chushuan to leave with him. It's just dawn. If we go back now, we may be able to catch up with the team. No, I decided to go down and take a look. Zhang Daoyu, you. Baton's eyes widened, and he was about to say something more, when he saw Zhang Chushuan swoop down, looking at a crack in the mountain, and his figure disappeared into it. Oh, Zhang Daoyu, why are you suffering here? With a long sigh, Baton didn't hesitate too much and raised his heel. As soon as he entered the mountain, Zhang Chushuan felt bursts of rich yin qi rushing towards him. Instantly condensing a shield of aura, Zhang Chushuan slowly deepened, and finally touched the ground, and also adapted to the yin qi in it. Removing the aura shield, Zhang Chushuan looked around. It's a simple cave in the mountains, empty all around, and nothing else. But he believed in his heart that there must be a reason for the Yin soldiers to disappear here in the end. 450. Who trespassed on the resting place of the king? Suddenly, there was a heavy drink behind him, which surprised Zhang Chushuan. Turning around and seeing that it was the general from before, Zhang Chushuan said, I'm just curious about this place in Sha, and I want to come in and take a look. 35. Leave quickly, otherwise, don't blame General Ben for not being polite. With the mutilated sword in hand, the general glared at Zhang Chushuan. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan laughed angrily, what if I don't leave? Kill. With a cold snort, the general waved his hand and stabbed out, and the thick yin qi suddenly turned into a giant dragon and roared towards Zhang Chushuan. Scorching Sun Slash. 99. Gong. Holding the long knife of the blazing sun, Zhang Chushuan volleyed the place. Suddenly, the huge body roared out and rushed into the dragon composed of yin-qi. Boom 1. The two collided, and the yin-qi dragon instantly collapsed, and was destroyed a lot by the blazing instant. Seeing this, he rushed towards him, and the general held the mutilated sword in front of him, chanting words in his mouth. 5 ghosts rampant, kill. In an instant, 5 powerful ghosts with green fangs rushed out of the mutilated sword and surrounded it. Ha! Quote. All kinds of piercing cries sounded, but Zhang Chushuan's face did not change, directing the instant movement to dodge and launch a counterattack. Break. 92%. Chapter 366. The King's Resting Place, Soldier Wushwang, subscription required. With Zhang Chushuan's angry drink, his body instantly became larger, devouring 5 powerful ghosts in one gulp. Quote. It seemed to be a full burp, that is, he twisted his huge head and looked at the general. Seeing this, the general's face changed slightly, but he did not flinch, and he even leapt forward 1 step at a time, moving towards the head and cutting off his head. Roar. With an angry roar, he flicked his tail behind him and twitched towards the general. But the general's body instantly turned into a cloud of black qi, and it recondensed not far away. With the sword in hand, the general did not flinch and rushed towards the instant move again. Because he devoured 5 powerful ghosts, the movement of the move was much sluggish, and at this time, he was stabbed by the general's sword, and the wound was constantly corrupted, and the black qi instantly permeated. Come back. 35. Zhang Chushuan shook his head slightly, moved the instant back into the long knife, and looked at the general. You seem to be guarding something, aren't you? You, damn it. But the general did not answer Zhang Chushuan's question, and his figure turned into a gust of black wind and swept towards him. Humph. Let me meet you, yin soldier. What kind of skills do you have? Snorting coldly, Zhang Chushuan's long knife in his hand picked upwards, and suddenly, an invisible knife aura instantly condensed and slashed towards the general's body. Just like last time, the general's bisected body reappeared not far away, which gave Zhang Chushuan a bit of a headache. This general, it seems to be immortal, and it is not interesting to fight. Zhang Chushuan found that although the general is a ghost general, in addition to summoning 5 powerful ghosts, the rest of the moves are only basic movements such as slashing and stabbing, which are very mechanical. Taoist, the yin soul needs the supreme yang thing to contend with, and the essence and blood on the tip of the tongue are the best. Quote. Baton came to Zhang Chushuan's side at some time and kindly reminded. The blood on the tip of the tongue is so precious, wasted on a yin soldier, isn't it impossible to scratch it? But Zhang Chushuan just shook his head, and suddenly a light flashed from his heart. Yes, the thing of the Supreme Sun. He thought of the 9 heavens God Thunder Array, the world's dark things, thunder can be destroyed, he holds this big killer in his hand, how can he not make good use of it? Hey, there's something you look good next. The corners of his mouth were slightly upturned. Zhang Chushuan suddenly threw out a jade plate from his hand, and then drank lightly. 9 heavens God Thunder, now. Crackling. A purple thunder the thickness of his thumb instantly landed on the general's head, and he felt a huge threat and was about to dodge. But the speed of that divine thunder was even faster, and it instantly struck the top of his head. With a muffled snort, the general's figure was a lot more illusory, but he still stood there strongly, glaring at Zhang Chushuan. Seeing that the 9 heavens God Thunder was effective, the smile on Zhang Chushuan's face became bigger and bigger. It turns out to be just like that. Why didn't I think just now, using the 9 heavens God Thunder to attack you? On the side, Baton, who looked at Zhang Chushuan's playful look, couldn't help but gasp. The thunder just now, he thought that once he was struck, his soul would instantly scatter and his bones would be gone. But that ghost will face the thunder that is almost born to restrain him, and it is really terrifying that he can resist it hard. Hearing Zhang Chushuan's words, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Zhang Daoyu, this is a ghost general, you can injure it with 1 blow, it's already very powerful. Quote. Is it awesome? I don't think so. Shaking his head, Zhang Chushuan kept throwing jade plates from his hand, and the direction was the general. Boom! A burst of thunder flashed, and the general's figure had disappeared, and even Baton could feel it, and the coldness around him had dissipated a lot. Well, he's dead, and it's time to find out the secret. Glancing at Baton beside him, Qin Hao said with a smile, there should be a big tomb here, if there is a harvest, you can take part of it. Zhang Daoyu, this is yours, I won't ask for it. Baton knew that he was just a spectator, and it would be inappropriate to collect what Zhang Chushuan had obtained by his own strength when the time came. Well, how about paying you the rest? After all, I still have to cross this soul-broken mountain range. After hesitating for a moment, Ba Dan finally nodded and agreed. Okay, just according to what Zhang Daoyu said. The two decided on this, and Zhang Chushuan walked towards the depths. The whole mountain seemed to have been hollowed out, and after passing through the cave, there were obvious traces of artificial excavation ahead. One staircase after another was constantly extending downward, and not far from Zhang Chushuan and the two, there was a huge number of skeletons, facing the stairs, half kneeling, and inserting the long sword in his hand into his chest. The first person ended his life with a mutilated sword. This group of soldiers is still very loyal. Nodding slightly, Zhang Chushuan knew that these should be those Yin soldiers who borrowed the way, but the general had been killed by himself, and the bones of the one in the front had been shattered and turned into ashes, but the mutilated private room was still straight into the rock, and it never fell. Without touching the skeletons, Zhang Chushuan and Batan walked towards the steps. The surroundings became more and more gloomy, and Batan had even shivered. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan condensed a huge aura shield and wrapped the two of them in it. Thank you. Without speaking, Zhang Chushuan continued to walk towards it in silence. It seems to be arranged like a yongdao, and the two of them walk in it, but they can also see the things depicted on the murals around them. A peerless king, leading his subordinates, constantly fighting bloody battles, invincible. But when the strength of the man was finally exhausted, the king was finally hit by several knives, and with the help of the general, he gradually withdrew from the battlefield. This was followed by the depiction of the excavation of the tomb, in which thousands of soldiers transformed the mountain and hollowed it out. When tools such as shovels break, they will use their hands and keep digging until they finally succeed. They held a grand funeral for the king, and hundreds of people knelt in front of the mountain to worship the king. The general stood at the forefront of Molis and mourned in silence with the king's relatives. The mural basically broke here, and the two walked some distance before discovering a new mural. After the death of the king, the general continued to fight with his men, and finally only a few thousand people were left and returned to the cemetery. The grief-faced general knelt in front of the king's tomb, kept kowtowing, and then led his subordinates to commit suicide together. Before they died, they swore that in this life and this life, they would not enter reincarnation, but only to protect the resting place of the king. Seeing this, the mural was over, and Batan was silent, with a faint look of admiration in his eyes. This is what a big husband should do. Zhang Chushuan stopped in place, sighed for a long time, and said to himself, "You have completed your mission and fulfilled your promise, it's time to leave." I don't know if this was heard, but in the huge number of bones, a gust of wind suddenly blew and scattered with the wind. 92%. Chapter 367. Above the Holy Lord, the Ghost King appears rising head. Zhang Chushuan and Batan did not notice the abnormality here, and the two were walking down the steps and deeper into the belly of the mountain, but because of the murals, they had more respect in their hearts. Kings who die for the society and guard the gate of the country are not common in the Xuantian continent. Tick, tick, because no one has taken care of it all year round, and the king's resting place is in the middle of the mountain, a lot of rainwater poured in along the cracks in the rock, corroding the original top green bricks, and falling into the pit little by little. Bypassing these droplets, Zhang Chushuan carefully led the way in front, and Ba Dan behind him did not dare to be careless, constantly looking towards the rear, for fear that those Yin soldiers would suddenly come out and hit him by surprise. Fortunately, there were no surprises along the way, and when the two came to the center of the tomb, they did not encounter any trouble. But at this time, the expressions of the two were a little ugly, because the tomb had been opened, and the surrounding things were scattered and messy. Gently picking up one of the funeral items, Batan showed a sad face. I didn't expect that the king of the great generation, after death, could not be peaceful, and the tomb suffered such damage, alas. Immediately, little by little, he scattered the funeral items that no one had fancy and weighed 450 new and put them into the coffin that had long since opened the lid of the coffin. It was empty, and even the bones of the king had disappeared at this time, presumably stolen by someone. Even the bones of the dead are stolen, it's too inhuman, right? The bone of the king, for some people, is a treasure of heaven and earth, and it is not surprising that they take it away. Shaking his head, Zhang Chushuan didn't say anything more, just felt worthless for this king. The two were silent, and Zhang Chushuan watched as Baden gathered all the items scattered on the ground into the coffin, and then said, "Let's go." Aha, nodding solemnly, Batan didn't say too much, followed Zhang Chushuan, and was about to leave. Suddenly, a creepy laughter came from behind. The two hurriedly turned around, but saw a black-gray bead rapidly attacking the two. The haunt is lingering. 9. With a cold snort, Zhang Chushuan stretched out a palm to slap it away, but suddenly felt a cold in his hand. He looked down, only briefly contact with the black and gray beads, the place was instantly frostbitten, and the slightest yin qi continued to escape, which was frightening. Humph. With a look of disdain in his eyes, Zhang Chushuan's palm shook, and the yin qi was instantly shattered, and the frostbite returned to normal. Looking up, directly behind the coffin, a skeleton covered in tattered clothes, with a faint blue flame in its eyes, looked directly at the two. Ba Dan subconsciously made a defensive move. Seeing that Zhang Chushuan was unmoved, he hurriedly raised his voice. Taoist, the person who came may be the Ghost King, we may have to find an opportunity to leave from here in a while. 99. He was very nervous in his heart, knowing that he was not the opponent of the Ghost King. As his employer, Zhang Chushuan should protect the other party, otherwise it is a blasphemy against his profession. But who knows, Zhang Chushuan shook his head at this time, a Ghost King is nothing. Zhang Daoyu. Looking at Zhang Chushuan with astonishment, Batan hurriedly said, the Ghost King is not comparable to the previous Ghost General. They have developed their own sanity and forgotten everything about their past lives. In their eyes, there is only the difference between enemies and ghosts. Once the living are close, they will attack at the first time, we still don't entangle. 99. Humans, dare to ignore this king. The blue fire in the eyes of the skeleton Ghost King suddenly flickered, and he said angrily at the two, kill you. Gong. In the next second, the Ghost King's figure flew towards Zhang Chushuan, because he felt a huge threat from Zhang Chushuan's body. Humph. With a cold snort, Zhang Chushuan leaned forward with his right foot, and the long knife of the blazing sun in his hand slashed down from the air even more fiercely. Sonorous. Aeee. The huge impact caused Zhang Chushuan's body to retreat violently, leaving 2 long scratches on the ground with his feet, but before his figure stopped, the Ghost King was faster, his body was closer, and a pair of ghost claws swept even more, as if to scratch Zhang Chushuan's waist. Ring. Like a striker, Zhang Chushuan kept swinging the blazing sun long knife to block, and the long knife made contact with the ghost claw, erupting into a burst of strong sparks. But Ba Dan jumped up at this time, jumped to the side, bit the tip of his tongue, and immediately drew a charm in the air, chanting an unknown incantation in his mouth. 5 stars town colorful light Xuanxi, 5 days devil death and destruction. Extinguish. 35. Thundered. With Baton's loud gulp, 5 sky-high colored pillars of light appeared from the sky, shrouded towards the Ghost King, but who knew that this brilliance only lasted for a moment, and then it dissipated violently in the huge destructive power of the Ghost King. Humph. With a muffled snort, Baton stepped back with his feet, and there was more incredulity in his eyes. Zhang Daoyu, this Ghost King is powerful, it's not something I can compete with, please be careful. Thank you. The corners of his mouth were slightly upturned, but Zhang Chushuan continued to fight with the Ghost King. However, I have already figured out his tricks. The figure kept retreating. Zhang Chushuan stomped his feet. The whole person jumped high. Suddenly, his body disappeared instantly. Both the Ghost King and Baton showed a hint of doubt in their eyes, and at this moment, Zhang Chushuan appeared from the back of the Ghost King and slammed a palm on his waist. Bang bang. Under the continuous wave of the palm, the bones in the Ghost King's waist faintly appeared in a column of horizontals. Zhang Chushuan increased his strength, kicked out, and the Ghost King suddenly flew into the distance like a cannonball. With 5 or 6 more jade plates in his hand, Zhang Chushuan threw it in the air and drank in his mouth. 9 heavens God thunder, now. Cracking sound. 5 or 6 purple thunderbolts fell out of thin air and bombarded the Ghost King who had not yet got up. Ahe Abaj. With a howl of pain from his mouth, the Ghost King wanted to dodge the remaining 2 purple thunders, but wherever he went, the purple thunder would follow. In a few breaths, the thunder coefficient fell, but the Ghost King's body was also scarred and very tired. The king is going to kill you. 5. Suddenly, the Ghost King's eyes turned red instantly, and his anger stared even more, seemingly distorting the surrounding space. Seeing this, Baton's complexion changed greatly, and he hurriedly said to Zhang Chushuan, not good, Zhang Daoyu, the Ghost King is furious, basically close to the peak of the Saint Lord level cultivation, hurry up. Zhang Chushuan also realized that things were not good, but with this strength of the Ghost King, he still had the ability to deal with it. Seeing that Baton was extremely nervous, Zhang Chushuan said, you go first, I'll help you stop for a while. Zhang Daoyu, now is not the time to be strong. I know that your strength is supreme, but the Ghost King is not easy to mess with. They even have friends. In case they provoke the rest of the Ghost Kings, maybe it will be more troublesome. 93%. Chapter 368 Out of Mind, Holy Rune Protection Subscription. When Zhang Chushuan heard this, his expression changed slightly. Baton understood a little more. According to legend, the Ghost Kings will have their own territory, but they are not old and dead. There will always be one or two guys with good relations, and they will be horns with each other to resist the impact of more powerful forces. Quote, I see that before this guy went crazy. He was only a beginner in the Ghost King, and like him, I am afraid that without some friends, it is impossible to grow to this point. 35. Wasn't he a Ghost King when he was alive? Zhang Chushuan said to Baton while fighting the Ghost King. Hearing this, Baden shook his head. Not really. After a person dies, everything has to start over, but the stronger the strength, the easier it will be to grow at that time. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a Ghost King now. 5. Knowing this, Zhang Chushuan looked at the crazy Ghost King and said loudly, Have you forgotten your people? Have you forgotten your subordinates? Baton didn't know why, and looked puzzled. Zhang Chushuan was still shouting, Aren't you fighting with them? Yes, didn't I fight with them? The Ghost King lost his mind for a moment, and Zhang Chushuan seized such an opportunity and fell from the sky with a long knife of the blazing sun. Boom! A knife slashed at the other party's heavenly spirit cover, and he even felt that his tiger mouth was about to be shattered, and the blazing sun Long Dao even showed faint signs of getting out of his hand, but in the end it was mastered by him. And the Ghost King was shocked by the strong impact and kept retreating, holding his head and wailing in pain. The sound like a dull knife cutting flesh made Zhang Chushuan both cover their ears. Distracted, out, with a thought, a villain exactly like him appeared above Zhang Chushuan's head, rushing into the skeleton of the Ghost King in the blink of an eye. This is the first time Zhang Chushuan has attacked an enemy with a spirit out of his body, and what he sees is very strange. As soon as he rushed into the sea of Ghost King's souls, suddenly, the manic flames in the sky quickly surrounded him. Shrink 2 inches. 9. Just with a slight movement of his mind, Zhang Chushuan found that the move that needed some time before, was launched instantly, and he almost fell to the ground because of this. This is not bad, but this sea of fire is also an obstacle for me. Zhang Chushuan thought to himself, the spirit can make the same moves as the body, what about the rest? Devour. 35. With a soft cry in his mouth, Zhang Chushuan closed his eyes, and after a few silent words in his heart, those eyes slowly opened. At this time, a pair of dark and bright jewel-like eyes, as if there was an endless attraction, attracted the sea of fire in the sky and poured into the eyes. On the side, the Ghost King was even more shocked when he saw that Zhang Chushuan could actually absorb these flames. He hurriedly flew towards Zhang Chushuan, but as soon as he approached, the other party's figure disappeared and moved to the side. Wow, you! The Ghost King was immediately furious, but he couldn't touch Zhang Chushuan. Like a wonder, from a pair of eyes, 2 tornadoes instantly rose in the sea of fire, and at the most subtle point at the end were the eyes connected to Zhang Chushuan. Outside, Baton watched Zhang Chushuan and the Ghost King move slightly, and the red light on the Ghost King's body decreased slightly. He came to Zhang Chushuan's side and said tentatively, Zhang Daoyu, are you alright? Without the dominance of the main soul, Zhang Chushuan's movements were stiff at this time, and his words were slow, help. I see good this body. Please rest assured Zhang Daoyu, you will live up to the trust. Nodding slightly, Zhang Chushuan didn't say much, focusing all his energy on the main soul. The sea of fire was almost absorbed by Zhang Chushuan in the blink of an eye, but he did not stop and continued to absorb it. Buzz one by one. With a fluctuation, the sea of fire in front of Zhang Chushuan's eyes disappeared, and his eyes were even redder. While looking at the Ghost King, a pair of scarlet eyes gradually changed into the previous blue. A trace of flame floated out of the corner of his eye, and Zhang Chushuan whispered, Now, do you still have strength? While absorbing, Zhang Chushuan suddenly understood that this sky flame was the source of the power of the Ghost King after madness, and he did so, which was equivalent to cutting off the other party's back road. Although he couldn't see the Ghost King's expression, Zhang Chushuan knew that he must be very angry at the moment. Ah, you damn it. After saying that, the Ghost King roared and rushed towards Zhang Chushuan, but feeling the power of his whole body, Zhang Chushuan's main soul gently raised his hand and easily accepted the other party's ghost claws. Click. A crisp cracking sound sounded from the soul sea, and the Ghost King suddenly screamed, but Zhang Chushuan moved faster with both hands and directly unloaded one of his arms. Knock knock. His right foot kept kicking on the Ghost King's body, and Zhang Chushuan took advantage of the situation to get close and punch and kick him. 0 asking for flowers. In an instant, the Ghost King couldn't hold on, and his figure retreated violently. Broken. Thundered. With a light drink from Zhang Chushuan, the Ghost King's figure suddenly flew upside down and exploded into countless pieces in the air. At this time, Zhang Chushuan's main soul suddenly disappeared and returned to the body. Rubbing his somewhat tired head, Zhang Chushuan muttered, "It's quite troublesome, you must use it less in the future." 5. With the devouring Saint Rune present, he was not afraid of something to happen at all, but this tired feeling was a little uncomfortable. In fact, what Zhang Chushuan didn't know was that ordinary Saint Lord level powers would not easily leave their bodies, but in the event of a great crisis, they would only seek a glimmer of life for themselves. Point 0. If you let them know that Zhang Chushuan took the initiative to leave his soul and rushed into the sea of other people's souls to fight, I am afraid that he would be speechless in shock. Zhang Daoyu, are you all right? 99. Sensing the movement on Zhang Chushuan's body, Baton hurriedly spoke. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan shook his head. It's okay. The Ghost King in front of the two people took a deep look at them at this time, and his figure quickly disappeared. You wait, this king will definitely come back. That sea of fire was condensed by Zhang Chushuan for I don't know how many years of cultivation, but at this moment it was easily swallowed by Zhang Chushuan, and he was shocked in his heart. Naturally he did not dare to face Zhang Chushuan again. The two did not chase. Seeing that the ground was full of mess, Zhang Chushuan shook his head. It seems that there is a huge secret hidden in this soul-broken mountain range. He had also been to the Fierce Beast mountain range before, and he knew that many cultivators had died in it, but such a powerful Ghost King had never appeared, and even those places where Yin-Chi was at its peak were only formed by the convergence of some lonely souls and wild ghosts with low strength, and even natural Yin land. Ideographic period. A large number of Yin soldiers appeared like this, but they did not encounter it. Zhang Daoyu, let's go. 35. Sighing, Baton took the initiative to walk outside. When they went on this trip, it was equivalent to finding nothing, but they only knew some old things. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan nodded and left with him. When they came out, the two found that it had just broken dawn, and before they knew it, they had spent a day and a night in the cave. Zhang Daoyu, let's go, we can still catch up with the footsteps of the caravan. River. Single G. 93%. Chapter 369 Lingbao Wei Nang, South Wind Auction. The two figures moved quickly, returning to the official road opened in the soul-broken mountain range, and they were even more non-stop. Captain, you're finally back. A day later, Zhang Chushuan and Baton finally caught up with the caravan not far from the exit of the soul-broken mountain range. But it seems that they should be waiting here, and if the two of them have not arrived today, they will really leave. Seeing that the caravan members were unharmed, Baton felt a lot of relief in his heart. Hee, I'm fine, let you worry. Smiling and nodding, Baton took over the position of caravan leader and said to everyone, go. Yes. 35. The ringing is faint and the breeze is blowing. Originally, Zhang Chushuan planned to say goodbye to everyone, but he couldn't resist Baton's efforts, so he followed them on. Zhang Daoyu, I see that you are not an ordinary person in 450, this is just an excuse to use our caravan to cross the soul-broken mountain range, right? Baton found Zhang Chushuan, a smile on his face. When he saw Zhang Chushuan make a move, he knew that the other party was strong, and if there was a problem, he might have to seek his help, thanks to his previous promise to protect his safety in the soul-broken mountain range, and also told him not to walk around. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan nodded. I wanted to go to the Day Dynasty, but I didn't want to use the teleportation array in the city, that would be too boring, or the scenery along the way is better. Day Dynasty, it's far away. Sighing, Baton's hand at Zhang Chushuan. It's a long way to go, but with Zhang Daoyu's strength, it will arrive sooner or later, but it takes more time. Hee, it's not always walking around, sometimes I still use the teleportation array. Baton only thought that the other party wanted to find something useful to him on the way, so he did not inquire more. In 2 days, there will be a big city, and our destination is here. At that time, I will part with Zhang Daoyu, and I still have a lot of reluctance. Hee, maybe there will be a chance to see you again in the future. The two chatted while walking. Zhang Chushuan listened to a lot of various things that Baton encountered when they were in business, and several times Baton himself even lived and died for a moment, but in the end he was lucky to survive. When they arrived in the city, Zhang Chushuan said goodbye to Baton and the others, and told them that it was best to stay in the city for a long time, and even transfer the caravan here. After all, the Ghost King was entrenched, and maybe he would retaliate when the time came. Baton listened carefully to Zhang Chushuan's advice, and his heart was heavy. This city is called Nanfang, and it is the largest city on this side of the Soul-Broken Mountain Range, because many cultivators nearby go to the Soul-Broken Mountain Range to search for treasures, and after returning, they will trade the proceeds and gradually form such a big city. Zhang Chushuan just found an inn, spent a leisurely afternoon in a tea house, and also learned about some things about Nanfang City. Just tonight, an annual auction will be held in the city, and many people will come to attend, even some nearby cities. Hearing this news, Zhang Chushuan was a little interested, and after asking the specific location of the shower auction, he was ready to participate. Night fell, but Nanfang City was more lively than day, and many people gathered in the center of the city, just because tonight's auction will be held at the Nanfang Auction House. The Nan family is the master of Nanfang City, and they even built a huge attic in the center of the city, which is used to entertain guests on weekdays, and once there is such a large thing as an auction, the Nanfang Pavilion will be transformed. Walking on the square in front of the Nanfang Pavilion, Zhang Chushuan looked up. 0. A huge 3-story attic stands in front of you. At the door, there are 4 coiled dragon pillars, supporting the huge pavilion, and the 3-story white jade staircase leads directly to the gate of the Nanfang Pavilion, and on its left and right sides, there is a stone lion more than 3 feet high, looking sideways. A little further back of the stone lion, there are 2 tall Chinese watches, like a portal, leading to the South Wind Pavilion. Because of the arrival of the auction, from the 2 sides of the protruding platform on the 2nd floor, there are red silks, on which the logo of Nanfang City is painted and is also the family emblem of the Nanjia. At this moment, people came and went in front of the Nanfang Pavilion, and on both sides of the Wabiao stood the people of the Nan family, greeting the guests who came to participate in the auction. Nodding slightly, Zhang Chushuan walked to the person receiving the Nan family, took out a token from his arms, and when the Nan family elder saw this, he immediately said respectfully to Zhang Chushuan, "I don't know that your distinguished guest is here, it is the negligence of my Nan family, and please don't mind the prince." The promotion of the 6-Pin dynasty is known to almost the entire southern part of the Lingzhou domain, so when everyone in the southern family sees this, they are even more cautious about Zhang Chushuan. "When I'm a normal person it's good." Shaking his head slightly, Zhang Chushuan put away the token and said to him, "How many floors will the auction be held?" The entire Nanfang Pavilion is the venue of the auction. The first floor is for those ordinary cultivators, the second floor is for some dignitaries, and the third floor is where the old deacon of my southern patriarch is located, so that the auction can be held smoothly. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan said, "Well, you are busy, I'll go first." Dear Zhang Daoyu, 39. Seeing Zhang Chushuan's face change slightly, the Nan family elder hurriedly changed his words. "Zhang Daoyu, let the old man take you to the 2nd floor and sit down. It just so happens that a position with excellent sight is not open to people. Originally let everyone from the Nan family enter." No, I'll just find a place to sit in the lobby on the 1st floor." Waving his hand, Zhang Chushuan ignored the other party's retention and walked straight towards the South Wind Pavilion. Watching the other party enter the Nanfang Pavilion, the elder hurriedly ordered his subordinates to continue to watch this place, and he ran to the 3rd floor in a hurry to report the matter. Since the auction had not yet begun, and because there were many people on the 1st floor, there were not many empty seats when Zhang Chushuan arrived. Fortunately, God forbid, Zhang Chushuan found a vacancy in the crowd and sat down with a big grin. Hearing the noise in his ears, Zhang Chushuan 4.4 also got some information about the auction. It turned out that in addition to ordinary heaven and earth treasures, there would also be things brought out from the depths of the Soul-Broken Mountain Range at this auction. It is said that this is a spiritual treasure left behind after the fall of the predecessors countless years ago. Although after years of erosion, the power of Lingbao has declined, but after some cultivation, it is not without the possibility of re-shining. Time passed little by little, and not long after, the great elder of the Nanjia family walked up to the high platform built in the center and said loudly, "Quiet, the auction is about to start," and when the old man arrives, he does not want to hear all kinds of voices, which will affect the auction. As he spoke, he kept sweeping over everyone, as if looking for something. Seeing that nothing was found, the great elder of the Nanjia had to announce, "Nanfang auction, start now." 93%. Chapter 370 Bidding. King Level Elixir. Chapter 370 Bidding. King Level Elixir. As the voice of the great elder of the Nan family fell, the 1st floor of the Nanfang Pavilion suddenly became quiet. Looking towards the 2nd floor, Zhang Chushuan found that it was basically full, but the room facing the auction platform was empty and no one was there. With just one glance, he set his sights on the body of the great elder of the Nan family. In the early stage of the divine mansion realm, this person's cultivation was very strong, but perhaps because of his age, there was basically not much room for progress in the future. The old rule, this first batch of auction items is a panacea, you should watch it, don't miss the good time. 35. A smile appeared, and the folds on the great elder's face almost covered his eyes. Snap. With the 2 taps of the great elder, a dignified woman walked out from behind the high platform, wearing a scarf on her head, covering half of her face, but it did not affect her beauty at all. The tray in his hand was covered with big red silk, and after putting it in front of the great elder, he slowly spoke. 3 bottles of life extension pills, 10 pieces per bottle, 104 bottles starting to auction, each bottle with a low price of 30,000 top-grade spirit stones, each increase must not be less than 3,000, the bidding begins. As soon as these words came out, the hall on the first floor suddenly fell into a commotion. This is a life extension pill, although each person can only eat one, but who has no relatives and friends. Buy one for yourself, and give the rest to your relatives and friends, but it is also a good gift. In addition, many cultivators have been troubled by the realm for a long time, and seeing that Shoyuan is approaching, they will naturally learn once. Guest 90, 3,000 additional price. 108 guests, 6,000 markups. Guest number 15, the price is increased by 6,000. The sound of one after another made the great elder very busy, but he seemed to enjoy this feeling and kept reporting the latest prices. 150,000, for the first time, is there any more? When the price of a bottle of life extension pill came to 150,000 Shengpin spirit stones, the sound of the hall on the first floor gradually stopped, and Zhang Chushuan was slightly surprised. After all, I had obtained the most high-quality life extension pill after a 100-fold increase in the system, and I knew the taste. At this time, the life extension pill may not achieve the effect of his time, but it can also prolong life, and for many people, it is a rare treasure. 150,000 3 times, deal. With the announcement of the great elder, the first bottle of life extension pill was finally taken away by guest number 23, and everyone was envious of him with a smile on his face. Ahem, don't panic, there are also 2 bottles of life extension pills, everyone has them. The great elder was very happy. After all, this was only the most inferior of them to extend their life, and as for the superior, it was divided among their Nan family and several other families, which is why the guests in the box on the second floor did not participate in this auction. The subsequent 2 bottles of life extension pill were even photographed at a price of 2 or 300,000, and the smile on the great elder's face was even greater. Okay, next, it's going to be. In the auction stage of elixirs, at the beginning, some of the most basic elixirs were of little use to the current Zhang family and the Yanwang dynasty, and Zhang Chushuan did not pay too much attention. Next, a pill obtained from the Soul Broken Mountain range will be auctioned. The specific effect is unknown, the specific composition is unknown, but it has a strong medicinal fragrance, and it has not lost its medicinal effect after so many years. Therefore, if you want to take it back for research, you can try to make a move, because this pill has a starting price of 10,000 medium-grade spirit stones, and the price increase must not be less than 1,000 each time. So cheap. At this time, it was the turn of the people who participated in the auction to be shocked. As the Nan family a pit person, how can there be such a cheap elixir? It stands to reason that this level of auction should not appear. Who knows, but if you really don't know anything about the pill, maybe there is still this possibility. 35. Hey, forget it, don't pay attention, I'm not an alchemist, why buy it back? Although most of the monks didn't care about this, there were still some mysterious old guys who began to bid. However, in the end, this pill was auctioned away at the price of 30,000 medium-grade spirit stones, and everyone looked towards that person, but he was hidden in black clothes and could not see the specific face, so he gave up. Well, next, it's the real top priority, everyone is optimistic. When the great elder finished saying this, the field instantly fell silent, and looked at the woman who came with a tray without blinking. The tray was lowered in front of the great elder, but he did not open it as before. With a mysterious smile on his face, the great elder said to everyone, a king-level lower-grade spirit vein pill, after swallowing, can enable the cultivators of the divine mansion realm to seize that opportunity and find an opportunity to break through the distraction realm. Of course, this pill varies from person to person, and what effect it has is only known after taking it. Well, without further ado, a king-level lower-grade spirit vein pill, the starting price is 100,000 top-grade spirit stones, and the price increase should not be less than 10,000 each time. Everyone hurry up. Boom, one by one. It was like entering a noisy vegetable market. Everyone talked about it, but no one made a bid. After all, this is a pill that can only be used by the true monarch and the strong, and their group of ordinary cultivators. Just look at the excitement. In the box on the second floor, a voice suddenly sounded, 120,000. Number 3 Yama bid 120,000. Oh, Nan Xiao wants to make a move. Soon, a chuckle appeared in the second elegant room next to number 3. The guy known as Nan Xiao slowly spoke. Anyway, be prepared. Then you just let the elders in the family give it to you. HMPH. This statement seemed to anger Nan Xiao, and he snorted coldly, just not going to pay attention to the other party. Number 2 Yama bid 150,000. Hearing the great elder's report, Nan Xiao's face suddenly changed. What do you mean by this 453? Hee, Nan Xiao, I'm sorry, I just need such a pill at home, I have to photograph it. Afterwards, there will be less reparations to the south. 35. Quote. Hearing this, Nan Xiao didn't say anything more and fell silent. 150,000 Shengpin spirit stones for the first time. Seeing that the rest of the people had not spoken for a long time, the great elder was about to announce the belonging of this spirit vein pill, and suddenly, from the hall on the first floor, a lazy voice came out, 160,000. The audience was silent, and everyone's eyes fell on the person who spoke, looking shocked. In the third elegant room, Nan Xiao couldn't help but mock. Hee, it seems that you are not recognized by everyone in this South Wind City. Nan Xiao, you can't say that. The other party snorted coldly, but increased the price again, 200,000. Zhang Chushuan frowned slightly, but still followed, 210,000. Boy, you, 9. At this time, the second elegant room man could no longer sit still, and said directly to Zhang Chushuan, what Ben rarely fancy, no one has ever been able to snatch it. On the side, Nan Xiao was suddenly unhappy when he heard this, but Zhang Chushuan invisibly helped himself to let out a bad breath, and immediately helped. You can't say that, you see, someone will come to rob it, unless you spend a lot of money, it is impossible to take it. Shut up. Number 2 snorted angrily. Boy, I see how long you can hold out. 35. 93%. Chapter 371 The Nan Family Invitation, the arrogant one is rampant. On the third floor of the Nanfang Pavilion, the elder who had received the guests earlier stood in front of Nan Yunche, the head of the Nan family, at this time, and reported in a low voice, that one is now participating in the competition for the Spirit Pulse Pill, Family Master, you see. Hee, no need. Thinking for a moment, Nan Yunche shook his head and said, since Zhang Daoyu came to the auction with his identity hidden, he must have his own plans, so I can't interfere too much. 99. However, let's let that kid be quiet, in case it angers Zhang Daoyu. Yes, old man, this is going. Nodding, the elder quickly came to the second room on the second floor and said something in the young man's ear. Hearing this, the young man was full of shock. What you said is all true. Naturally, this is what the head of the family means, what to do in the end, or you decide for yourself. Quote. The young man was silent for a long time, but he nodded and agreed. 230,000, for the first time. Hearing the words of the great elder, the young man snorted coldly. Boy, I will let you go this time, I hope you can still have good luck in the future. Presumably, all the spirit stones on your body have been spent because of this, right? See how you end up then. Hee, don't bother you. Zhang Chushuan was a little surprised. The other party has always been imperative, this time actually took the initiative to give in, but it was a little surprised. Seeing this, the great elder quickly finalized. Congratulations on the 99th for taking this spiritual vein pill. 39. Well, the elixir auction stage is over, and next, there are magic weapons and the like, please don't miss this opportunity. Zhang Chushuan didn't care much about these things, and planned to wait for the last part of the auction, but at this time, an auction staff came to him and said softly, Taoist, the family owner has a request. Brows raised slightly, Zhang Chushuan understood what was going on, nodded, and agreed. All the way up to the third floor, Zhang Chushuan couldn't help but laugh dumbly when he saw that the surrounding area was heavily guarded. If you want to make trouble in the auction house, with this little strength, it may not be enough for people to plug their teeth, and I am afraid that it can only play a warning role. Hee, Zhang Daoyu, long admire the name. 99. As soon as he came up, the head of the Nan family introduced himself. Old man Nan Yunch, if Zhang Daoyu is not disgusted, you can call me Nan Daoyu. 99. Master Nan, you're welcome. Arching his hand slightly, Zhang Chushuan said, I don't know what happened to the Nan family master. Oh, sit. Motioning for Zhang Chushuan to sit down, Nan Yunch slowly spoke. The old man has long heard of Zhang Daoyu's great name, and when he saw it today, he really lived up to his name. 39. Pass the prize. That spirit pulse pill will be delivered to Zhang Daoyu later, and the old man invited Taoist friends to come this time, because there is something he wants to trouble Taoists. Oh, Master Nan, if you have something to say, you may as well say it directly. In the soul-broken mountain range, there are the remains of my Nan family's ancestors, but that place is too dangerous, and the Nan family has tried countless times without success. 99. This time, the old man wants to ask Zhang Daoyu to help, and there will be a heavy reward afterwards. Oh, things so important. Of course, this ancestor can be said to have laid the current foundation of the Nan family. Without his old man's family, my Nan family cannot develop so far. It should collect the remains of the ancestors and be worshipped by the family incense. That makes sense. That Daoyu Zhang means. Nan Yunche's eyes showed a look of expectation. If Zhang Chushuan could agree, this trip would definitely reduce a lot of risks. It just so happens that I have nothing to do, and it doesn't hurt to walk around. Ha ha ha. Good. The old man thanked Zhang Daoyu first, but in order to express the sincerity of the old man, the spiritual vein pill was given to the Taoist. Do you have no opinion on doing this, the rest of the Nan family? After all, it's from the auction. The Nan family is all in the hands of the old man, and they dare not have an opinion. The two discussed for a while, and Zhang Chushuan got up and took his leave. When tonight's auction ended, most of the cultivators regretfully left, and some Taoists who had earned were smiling. Tonight is only the first auction. Tomorrow, there will be a special session dedicated to the exercises, and the day after that will be some elixirs. On the fourth day, it was obtained from the soul-broken mountain range at auction, and the nameless pill at that time was only taken out by the South Wind auction house to test it. The fifth day, the sixth day, and the seventh day were prepared for the free trade of many monks. When the time came, everyone came to the stage in turn and traded with everyone. Therefore, Zhang Chushuan had to wait until the auction was over to return to the soul-broken mountain range with the Nan family. Originally, Nan Yunche wanted to arrange Zhang Chushuan in the Nan family, but was rejected by the other party. As soon as he walked out of the Nanfang pavilion and came to a relatively dark alley, in front of Zhang Chushuan, 5 black-clothed monks appeared. Click, click. Hearing the footsteps behind him, Zhang Chushuan looked back, but saw a brother Gongzi in a gorgeous dress, walking towards him with a smile on his face. This Taoist friend, is he in such a hurry to leave? 39. Oh, you're from room 2. As soon as he spoke, Zhang Chushuan understood what the other party meant. To be honest, you are stupid to act like this. In Zhang Chushuan's eyes, this young man in Chinese clothes was only the cultivation of Jaden's 3 turns, and the 5 black-clothed cultivators behind him were even more Jaden's turns, which posed no threat to him at all. Humph. Grab the things that are small. No one can leave safely. Boy, if you know each other, hand over the things. Just you. The smile in Zhang Chushuan's eyes became even thicker. The other party must be those ordinary cultivators on the spot. There is no backer behind him, and his own strength is not particularly powerful, so he dares to rob himself. With this in mind, Zhang Chushuan decided to have fun with him. What if I say no? 35. Oh, today is your death date. 35. Up. Seeing that Zhang Chushuan had no intention of handing over anything, the young man in Chinese clothes waved his hand and ordered. Boom 1. The next moment, I saw Zhang Chushuan's clothes without wind, and a powerful aura emanated from him, making the 5 people tremble. The young man in Chinese clothes widened his eyes even more, and seeing that Zhang Chushuan hadn't noticed him yet, he quietly moved to the side. It's too bad that the other party actually hid his cultivation. Damn, with such strong strength, why don't you go to the elegant room on the 2nd floor and mix among ordinary people? The young man in Chinese clothes is repentant at this moment, but it is still important to run for his life. Did I say you could go? Suddenly, a creepy voice appeared behind him, and the young man in Chinese clothes slowly turned his head to meet Zhang Chushuan's smiling face. Before, senior, I don't know Mount Tai, and I ask my seniors not to deal with me. 55. You should have gotten a lot at tonight's auction, right? Hand it over. Senior, the patriarch will kill me. If you don't hand it over, I'll kill you now. 94%. Chapter 372 So Invited, The Journey of the Holy Lord. The young man in Chinese clothes panicked, and Zhang Chushuan's words made him even more nervous. Senior, also, please let me go. Gong. The blazing sun-long knife instantly rested on his neck, only to hear Zhang Chushuan say coldly, you only have one choice. I give. After a long silence, the young man in Chinese clothes still compromised with Zhang Chushuan and obediently handed over all the gains from tonight to the other party. Receiving the storage bag, Zhang Chushuan just glanced at it and kicked the other party's stomach. Get out. The young man in Chinese clothes was amnestied, and he fled with a crawl. Shaking his head, Zhang Chushuan looked disdainful. I thought you got something. It turned out to be all some magic weapons, and there were some spiritual weapons, but they were not very good. Click. Waving the bag to burst, Zhang Chushuan leisurely returned to the inn. The auction on the second day was held as usual, and Zhang Chushuan glanced at the second room, but the young man in Chinese clothes did not appear, and suddenly felt that he had lost some fun. Tonight's long auction, starting with the first mortal level exercises, Zhang Chushuan did not find anything worth selling, until the end of the auction, the same. Somewhat disappointed and left from the Nanfang Pavilion, Zhang Chushuan originally wanted to return to the inn, but saw Nan Yunch come to Z453G, and said with a smile, Zhang Daoyu, my Nan family will hold a banquet tonight, and we sincerely invite all outstanding people to come. If Zhang Daoyu does not dislike it, he can go to the South family with the old man. Banquet. Slightly surprised, Zhang Chushuan finally nodded and agreed. Nanfu is also the city lord's mansion, which covers an innumerable area, and there are many armored soldiers in the mansion, constantly patrolling. Along the way, Nan Yunche was receiving salutes from these soldiers, and finally, after passing through a long passage, the two came to the backyard of Nanfu. At this time, people are coming and going, and many guests are gathered. Seeing that Nan Yunch arrived, everyone got up in unison and smiled at Nan Yunch, Nan Patriarch. Patriarch Nan, I don't know what is the purpose of summoning me and others here tonight. Hee, sit, everyone sit. Signaling that everyone was not welcome, Nagumo invited Zhang Chushuan to sit down in the main seat, and he acted as an escort. This behavior attracted everyone's eyes to Zhang Chushuan, but no one guessed his identity. Introduction. This is Zhang Daoyu. In just one sentence, Nan Yunch brought Zhang Chushuan's identity with him. Zhang Daoyu, this is the head of the Meng family, this is the Tang family. In fact, tonight's banquet is also the protagonist of their table. Although the rest of the people are young, they are all a little far away from Zhang Chushuan and the others, and everyone is not allowed to step forward without Nan Yunche's permission. After some introduction, Nan Yunch finally put things back on track. Everyone, I think everyone knows that my ancestor of the Nan family died depressed in the soul-broken mountain range, and I invite you to come today because I want you to go with the old man to retrieve the remains of the ancestors. The people here, except for Zhang Chushuan, were basically the heads of the Six-Pin family, and they were not much surprised when they heard Nan Yunche's words. Patriarch Nan, isn't this matter to be discussed after the auction is over? How now? Oh, you don't know. With a worried look in his eyes, Nan Yunche said in a deep voice, I don't know what happened in the soul-broken mountain range, and many of these powerful races have started civil wars, and there is a faint tendency to spread to the outside world. I'm worried that when the situation is tense, this thing will be delayed, and I will only venture forward before it can grow. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. Because at this time, the Nan family has recently learned a lot about the situation in the soul-broken mountain range, and the other families have always been laissez-faire before, so naturally they don't know the situation. Patriarch Nan, can you be more detailed? Alas, the old man can't do anything either. Shaking his head, Nan Yunche's face was solemn. The old man only found out that the place where the ancestors rested for a long time, in less than 7 days, it will be affected by the war and chaos in it, and at that time, whether the ancestors' remains can be preserved is a problem. This is also the reason why the old man has to be so anxious, and please bear more responsibility. In that case, the risk of waiting for me will definitely increase, and when the time comes. Everyone spoke without saying, and Nan Yunche nodded and agreed. Please rest assured, my Nan family will increase by 3% on the basis of the original discussion. I don't know what you think. This is the politeness of the Nan family master. 99. Despite this, there was a smile on everyone's face, which was very satisfied. Soon, attention was drawn to Zhang Chushuan, just as juniors came to toast. Master Nan, I don't know if this Taoist friend is Yes, this Taoist friend is so young. Do you want to enter the soul-broken mountain range with me and others? Without waiting for the Nan patriarch to explain, an exclamation suddenly came out. Why did you blend in? All the patriarchs looked up in unison and found that it was the concubine of the Tang family, and the patriarch of the Tang family looked even more embarrassed, and reprimanded the young man in Wufu. Tang Feng, what are you doing? Patriarch, realizing who was sitting in front of him, Tang Feng hurriedly bowed down to the Tang family master. Patriarch, this is the person who hijacked my proceeds at the auction last night, and you must be the master for me. Oh, 99. Patriarch Tang's face was cloudy, and he turned to look at Zhang Chushuan. Zhang. Taoist, what Tang Feng said is true. He's right. Admitted generously, Zhang Chushuan was full of smiles. However, the strength is insufficient, but it is robbed. Tang Feng, don't you feel ashamed? Quote. Tang Feng suddenly glared angrily, and Nanyan Che was afraid that Zhang Chushuan would be angry, so he hurriedly came out to be a peacemaker. Don't be impatient. Don't be impatient. Tang Feng, you go down first. I will figure out this matter later. Quote. The Nan family master spoke, and no matter how unwilling Tang Feng was, he could only retreat. Humph. Master Nan, do you know something? The Tang family master is serious. The old man just wants to tell you that this matter was originally a misunderstanding. It is better not to make a big trouble. Seeing that Nan Yunch was biased towards this Zhang Daoyu who appeared out of nowhere, he was even more angry in his heart, and he didn't notice the other party's look at him. Zhang Daoyu, should you give me an explanation to the Tang family? With a faint smile on the corner of his mouth, Zhang Chushuan shook his head even more when he heard this. The Nan family master has explained the matter very clearly. Can it be that the Tang family master has an objection? Or do you not have such a person as the Nan family master in your eyes? Nanyan Che's head was full of black lines, and he shouted in his heart, Lord Prince, why don't you think it's a big deal? HMPH, whether the old man has the Nan family master in his eyes, you don't need to worry. 94%. Chapter 373. Soul Cliff of the Soul Broken Mountain Range, a natural forbidden place. Ask for a subscription. Under the leadership of Nan Yunche, except for Zhang Chushuan, a total of 8 family masters who were the lowest cultivators in the Divine Mansion realm rushed to the Soul Broken Mountain Range together. Before entering, everyone noticed something unusual in the Soul Broken Mountain Range. The demon beasts that originally lived on the periphery of the mountain range also fled at this time, and it seemed that something important threatened their lives. Casually solving the few demon beasts in front of him, Nan Yunche said in a deep voice, It seems that this matter is more serious than the old man imagined. Everyone, we have to speed up. Patriarch Nan, can you tell me where the remains of your ancestor are? At this time, it should also be explained, right? Let's do some preparation. Quote. Yes, it's not that the old man is afraid, but the Soul Broken Mountain Range has always been a dangerous place, and there are many forbidden places, basically in and out. Let's break in so rashly, in case we provoke one of the existences, I'm afraid the store will not be enough for it to plug its teeth. Several patriarchs stopped one after another and looked at Nan Yunch with a serious face. Seeing this, he only had to tell the truth. It's not a secret, the ancestors' remains are in the center of the Soul Broken Mountain Range, and in order to seek the opportunity to break through, the ancestor came in alone before he explained the aftermath, and he fought with some of these powerful races and was seriously injured, so he couldn't come out safely. The last place where the ancestors stayed was the lost Soul Cliff in the Soul Broken Mountain Range. What? Ecstasy Cliff? Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Ecstasy Cliff is the most dangerous forbidden place in the Soul Broken Mountain Range, which allows you to leave your body without knowing it, and wander the mountains from then on. Moreover, there is also a powerful ethnic group living in the Soul Broken Mountain Range, the Soul Clan. It is rumored that the soul race can detain the souls of the living and use them for their own use, although the number of soul races is not large, but all of them are cultivators of the Divine Mansion realm and above, and ordinary people can only flee in a hurry when they see it, because you don't know when the soul race will start. 1 or 2 family owners had already retreated. Master Nan, it's not that the old man doesn't want to help you, it's really that this trip is too dangerous, all of us are in danger of falling, not afraid of 10,000, just in case. 99. Nan Yunche, I'll take my leave first, we will have a period later. Between words, there were already 3 family owners who turned around and left. Nan Yunche's face suddenly became very ugly, and after a long sigh, he looked at the remaining 6 people. Fellow Taoists, if you also want to leave, the old man will not stop you. However, the remains of the ancestors, the old man must bring them back. The other 4 patriarchs look at me, I look at you, but in the end they didn't say anything and followed in Nan Yunche's footsteps. It was not very peaceful along the way, and Zhang Chushuan, Nan Yunche and the others had to clean up the demon beasts that had lost their minds while walking, and it took 2 days to come to the edge of the ecstasy cliff. At this time, several family owners had already been slightly injured, but since they had come to this step, there was no reason to go back. Ecstasy cliff soars into the clouds, with little to see at the top. There is a winding path around the ecstasy cliff, which seems to have been passed by many people, and has left a lot of traces. After a brief repair in place, everyone climbed the mountain with Nagumo Toru. The mountains are rugged and the paths are not easy to walk. Even if everyone is not careful, they can be cut through the skin and flesh of their legs by hard mountain stones, and the wound cannot stop bleeding for a while and a half. From the very beginning of Zhang Chushuan's arrival, he felt that there were many wandering spirits hidden in the ecstasy cliff, but their strength was not strong, and they could be wiped out with a wave of their hands. I don't know when, Zhang Chushuan suddenly felt that there was someone following behind them, but when he looked back, there was nothing but a thin white mist. Shaking his head, Zhang Chushuan continued to follow in the footsteps of his predecessors. Behind him, 3 very old-looking men, dressed in strange services that were obviously different from those in the southern part of Lingzhou domain, revealed their figures. Third uncle, when will you start? The man in the middle was called Third Uncle, and when he heard this, he shook his head. It's not time to start yet, someone has already detected the abnormality, wait. Fourth uncle, don't worry, they can't run anyway, play first. The first man to speak was the fourth uncle. If everyone hears this, they will be surprised that they are about the same age, but they are not of the same generation. There are people over here. Suddenly, I don't know which family owner exclaimed. Everyone looked in unison, and found that not far from them, on a protruding rock, there were 3 corpses that had long been dried, leaning on the mountain rocks behind them, facing ahead, their fingers pointing in the same direction. Ignore it, keep going. Quote, 0 asking for flowers. Nan Yunche only took a few glances and ordered a few people to continue walking. It's better not to stay in this ecstasy cliff, even if you don't meet the soul race or the rest of the races. If you stay for a long time, there will be a danger of the soul leaving the body. Hearing Nan Yunche's words, everyone hurriedly quickened their steps and headed towards the top of the cliff. It's finally here, though, what does it smell like? Patriarch Tang walked in the front, and when he climbed the ecstasy cliff, his nose couldn't help but twitch. How do you feel the strong smell of blood? You feel right. Nan Yunche appeared from behind him, and his expression was even more solemn. Look at your feet, faintly dark red, presumably after being soaked in blood, coupled with the special environment here, this cannot be dissipated. 99. Everyone found out at this time that although there were black mountain stones under their feet, they did not see a trace of red inclusion. The cliff of ecstasy is very flat, as if someone has cut the top of the mountain out of thin air. Zhang Chushuan walked in it, and he could even detect that there were many wandering souls around who wanted to rush into this ecstasy cliff, but for some reason, they were blocked by an invisible barrier. Male patriarch, what does your ancestor look like? With so many bones here, it is impossible to bring them all back, right? 35. Finally, a family owner found that not far from them, almost dense bones were covered with ecstasy cliffs. From the clothes on their bodies, it can be seen that from ancient times to the present, almost every time period has died in this ecstasy cliff, and some people even retain their frightened faces before their lives, as if they have encountered extremely terrifying things. Hearing this, Nan Yunche hurriedly came to the side of the family master and looked towards this group of corpses. For a long time, he threw his hands at everyone. Everyone, the old man can't recognize where the ancestor is at this moment, but the ancestor has the family emblem of my southern family, which is generally on the back of the left hand. 35. In order to let everyone see clearly, Nan Yunche even showed the back of his left hand to everyone. Although the family emblem at this time is somewhat different from that time, it is generally the same, and everyone can know it after seeing it. Quote, so, I want you to help find 1 or 2. Everyone was speechless for a while. So old they went to rummage through the bones of the deceased, but since they promised Nan Yunche, they had to do so. 94%. Chapter 374. Zhang Chushuan strikes, Fighting Skeleton Soul Clan, subscription required. Looking through the bones is very disgusting and troublesome, because you don't know which bone you encounter, the other party will suddenly flow disgusting and unpleasant water, and even contaminated on the body, you can't get rid of it. Zhang Chushuan stopped and walked. but used the sword intent to accurately raise the left hand of each deceased to watch, and the rest of the family owners saw this, so they followed suit and used various techniques. In this way, the speed of everyone's search has accelerated a lot, but they still found nothing. Although it was noon, the sky was still gloomy, and there was not even a little sunlight on the ecstasy cliff, and a random gust of majestic wind could make everyone tremble. Found it, male master. 39. Suddenly, I don't know who exclaimed, and shouted towards Nan Yunche, "You come to confirm if it is the ancestor of your Nan family." Nanyan was overjoyed, and almost without hesitation, he ran to the 4, 5, 7 family owner and leaned over to investigate. For a long time, the old man choked up with tears in his eyes. "It's my ancestor of the Nan family, thank you." "Hee, the Nan family master is not welcome, let's go now, before dark, you can still walk down this ecstasy cliff." Coming back to his senses, Nan Yunche carried the bones of his ancestor on his body and set off with everyone. But gradually, everyone discovered that something was wrong. After they reached the halfway point of the mountain, they should follow the road in front of them and continue to descend the ecstasy cliff, but somehow, they came back to the ecstasy cliff in the blink of an eye. In front of him, there was still a messy corpse, and in the place where the remains of the ancestors of the Nan family were originally contained, an identical body appeared. Looking at the bones behind him, Nan Yunche's brows furrowed even more. The rest of the people even whispered, "Master Nan, have we encountered a ghost hitting the wall?" But in this big daylight, they should not come out. Quote. Nan Yunche was silent for a long time, before he said in a deep voice, "Let's go, continue to go down the mountain." Quote. Everyone was helpless and could only follow behind Nan Yunche, but in less than a quarter of an hour, they returned to their original place. After trying several more times, for the original result, Nan Yunche put down the ancestors' remains and drank around. "I don't know which Taoist friend is here, disturbing the long sleep of Taoist friends, and asking for forgiveness. I just want to leave this lost soul cliff. There is no evil intention, and I ask Taoist friends to let me go." There was no sound around, only gusts of majestic wind blowing, and the white fog seemed to be thicker. Nan Yunche waited for a moment, then yelled, "If Taoist friends refuse, I have to forcibly leave this place. If I hurt Taoists, please don't blame." 35. After saying that, Nan Yunche signaled everyone to leave, but in the thick white fog in front of him, 3 old men suddenly walked out. Seeing that they were serving, not like the southern cultivators of Lingzhou domain, and even had a skull tattooed in the middle of their foreheads, Nan Yunche's face became very ugly. "I don't know what the 3 Taoists are doing. Hee, you humans are really stupid. You can't even break this obstacle. Why do you occupy the world and become the leader of all souls?" As soon as the other party spoke, everyone changed color, and Zhang Chushuan took a step forward and said with a smile, "You are from the Soul Clan." "Oh, but some people still remember the existence of our soul race. Not bad, young offspring, the old man can make you die a little happier later." Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan smiled. Facing the 3 soul race people, Nan Yunche's face was extremely solemn. "I don't know what happened to the 3 soul race seniors stopping me and waiting. Do not take away all the remains here. You have broken the rules of this place, and you should leave forgiveness. Senior, this is the remains of my ancestors. I want to take it away, accept the offering, and ask the senior to make a convenient trip." "Ha ha ha, whether he is the remains of your ancestors or some ancestor," the old man said, "leave the remains, you must also forgive your sins." Quote. "So you have to fight. Humph. It depends on whether you have that ability or not." The comber snorted coldly, and suddenly, the bodies of the 3 people merged with the surrounding white mist, and the voice came from all directions. "Ha, no one has broken in for a long time." Patriarch Tang only felt a gust of wind blowing in front of him, and when he came to his senses again, he found that he had been blasted away and landed among those remains. Poof. Still couldn't help but spew out a mouthful of blood. The Tang family master said loudly, "Be careful, don't be hit by them." Patriarch Tang even felt that after that blow, his spirit was going to leave his body, but fortunately, the treasures on his body helped him block some impacts. When the rest of the people heard this, their faces changed drastically. They stood back to back, their eyes constantly wandering around Zero. "Oh, there's another one here who isn't afraid of death." When they saw Zhang Chushuan alone, the 3 of them immediately became excited, stirring the white mist, and attacked Zhang Chushuan. "Pretend to be a ghost." With a cold snort, a translucent villain exactly like him suddenly appeared from Zhang Chushuan's body. The little man rushed into the white mist, constantly stirring the wind and clouds. Ah, Junior, Erdane. As if humiliated, everyone only heard the angry roar of the other party in the white mist, but Zhang Chushuan was always smiling. Break. With a low drink, the white mist slowly dispersed, and the little man grabbed the chest of one of them with one hand and threw it in front of everyone. Zhang Daoyu, this is Holy Lord level power, no wonder. No wonder the male patriarch was extremely polite to him, no wonder he invited him to come. Several family owners instantly understood, and the eyes that looked at Zhang Chushuan were no longer contempted, but more hope, some hope for escape. After solving one of the soul races, the little man continued to rush into the white mist, but as soon as he made contact, the white fog retreated violently, and the surroundings were clear, but the traces of the other two soul races could not be seen clearly. Juju, I didn't expect that a strong man in the distraction realm came, but in front of our soul race, all this is in vain, suffer death. 35. Although the voice came from all directions, Zhang Chushuan remained motionless. When everyone was nervous, and Zhang Chushuan's hair was constantly dancing, 4.4 suddenly, he had an extra long red knife in his hand. Gong. Like slashing on metal, the blazing sun long knife slashed in the air, and then was held in Zhang Chushuan's hand. Humph. A muffled snort came from all around, and everyone only listened to the angry voice of the Soul Clan. Boy, you have successfully provoked us, die. Roar. A huge white skull roared towards Zhang Chushuan. Boom. Almost instantly, the skull rushed through Zhang Chushuan's brain and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Nanyan Che was even more anxious in his heart. Zhang Chushuan was the strongest in their field. If even he was defeated, they would not have the possibility of getting out alive. So, he roared angrily and came to Zhang Chushuan's side. Everyone, protect Saint Lord Zhang together. 94%. Chapter 375 Soul Dragon Strikes. Sorry, I refuse. Subscription required. Nan Yunche's words caused the other three patriarchs who could still move normally to come to their senses instantly, and they occupied the surroundings of Zhang Chushuan, and a pair of cloudy eyes stared around to prevent the last soul clan from taking advantage of the void. In the divine soul, the skull of the soul race is preparing to exert its divine power and annihilate Zhang Chushuan's divine soul, thereby taking his body and living for many more years. Roar. At this moment, an earth-shaking voice came from behind him. Looking back, a one-horned golden dragon appeared in Zhang Chushuan's soul at some time, glaring at him. Humph. It's just a horned dragon, just as the nourishment of the old man and to strengthen the soul. The one-horned golden dragon was silent, and a thick dragon tail whipped towards the spirit of the old man of the Soul Clan. With a jump in his body, the old man of the Soul Clan easily dodged away, and his eyes were full of mockery when he looked at the unicorn golden dragon. Your strength is not enough, don't struggle, return to the old man. Roar. As if provoked by these words, the unicorn golden dragon's body instantly soared into the sky, and the huge dragon head flipped in the air to face the old man of the soul race. Boom. 04 is like hitting a steel plate. The soul of the old man of the soul race is very hard. The dragon head shook a few times, but the battle intent in his eyes was even stronger. The exclusive golden dragon failed to strike a blow, and continued to swing its huge body, constantly bombarding the old man of the soul race. At first, the ancestor of the Soul Clan still had a rampant smile, but gradually, the smile was no longer there, and there was more panicked expression on his face. Snap. Suddenly, with a flick of the tail, the unicorn golden dragon whipped the old man of the soul race away, and then, the sharp dragon claws pinched the other party's throat. Reconjuring the appearance of Zhang Chushuan, the one-horned golden dragon disappeared in an instant. Old fellow, aren't you rampant? Zhang Chushuan smiled very happily. After all, if he let the spirit out of his body and compete with the old man of the Soul Clan, he might not last long, but in his own soul, Zhang Chushuan had absolute confidence to take down the other party. Pinching the other party's neck, Zhang Chushuan said, rampant, rampant again. The old man of the Soul Clan was very angry, but at this time, he was pinched in his hand by Zhang Chushuan and could not move. Click. Without wasting time, Zhang Chushuan twisted the opponent's neck with force, and after handing it over to the split-soul devourer, he reopened his eyes and looked ahead. Seeing the four patriarchs stopping beside him to resist the Soul Clan, Zhang Chushuan smiled slightly. Thank you, everyone. However, everyone relaxed. There was no danger, and the last soul race must have fled. Quote. Everyone was suspicious, but after such a long time, the people of the Soul Clan really did not attack, and Zhang Chushuan was also unharmed, so Nan Yunche and everyone bowed to Zhang Chushuan in unison. Thank you seniors for saving your life, I can't thank you enough. 5. Hee hee, you don't need to be polite, please get up quickly. The group walked towards the bottom of the ecstasy cliff again. Because the Tang family owner was injured, he was handed over to the care of the other family owners. Nan Yunche, who was carrying the remains of his ancestors, asked Zhang Chushuan from time to time for the mystery of the distraction realm. After all, if he was lucky enough, he might also be able to storm the distraction realm, and at that time, the Nan family would also rise to a higher level. Zhang Chushuan helpless. This really can't teach you, because I all feel that when I break through the distraction realm, it is a little incredible. But in the face of Nan Yunche, who asked sincerely questions, Zhang Chushuan had to casually say some senior experience. Hee, thank you Senior Jian. Without the Soul Clan's obstruction, everyone's progress speed accelerated a lot. But when they walked down the ecstasy cliff, they found that this direction was different from when they came. Frowning slightly, Nan Yunche had to say to everyone, guys, it seems that we have to walk a little more. It doesn't hurt. Everyone shook their heads one after another. Even survived such a dangerous place as the ecstasy cliff, what are they afraid of? The 6 people continued to move forward, but gradually found that they seemed to have been going around in circles. Nan Yunche was very puzzled, and was about to discuss countermeasures with his companions, but he heard a loud drink coming from the sky. Male Master, wake up. There was a sudden whirlwind in front of him, and when Nan Yunche opened his eyes again, he found that they had returned to the ecstasy cliff. What's going on? Not far away, the Tang family master was still lying in the bones, struggling to heal his injuries. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan said softly, you just fell for the illusion of the people of the Soul Clan. What you saw before is all fake. We are still on the Soul Cliff. 39. What? Nan Yunche was shocked. He hurriedly pinched his thigh, and his face became even more gloomy. Is that really so? Boy, you do have some skills. Do you want to join our Soul Clan? Seeing that Zhang Chushuan was the first to come to his senses, the 2 Soul Clan elders couldn't help but say, don't worry, with your strength, your status in my Soul Clan will not be too low. Aren't people like you ghosts or ghosts? Sorry, I refuse. You're looking for death. The old man of the Soul Clan immediately shouted angrily, and his figure rushed towards Zhang Chushuan. Seeing that he was about to slash at the body of the old man of the Soul Clan, I saw his figure turn into a blue smoke, and appeared in another place in the blink of an eye. Soul control. The old man of the Soul Clan let out a low roar, and suddenly, the white skull on his forehead slowly left his body, and then it was like life, and his eyes emitted a faint red glow. Gurgle. The skeleton let out a piercing laugh and swooped down, wanting to completely control Zhangchu 457 Zan. Humph. Do you think I'm still going to be fooled? Zhang Chushuan snorted coldly, summoned the main soul from his body, and fought with this skull, and he himself was holding the blazing sun-long knife, aiming at the old man of the soul race and slashing at the old man of the Soul Clan. How is this possible? With a shocked look in his eyes, the old man of the Soul Clan looked at the little man fighting with the skull, and then at Zhang Chushuan, who was moving freely. You Terrans, don't you only have one soul? Even if you are distracted, you can't move as freely as you. 99. You don't need to worry about this. Another old man of the Soul Clan found Nan Yunche and a few others. With their combined efforts, they also temporarily blocked the other party's attack. Relieved, Zhang Chushuan's main soul continued to attack the skull frantically, and he even bombarded the Soul Clan elder indiscriminately, forcing the other party to retreat one after another. Not playing with you. Gong. Suddenly, Zhang Chushuan slashed from the sky, and the old man of the Soul Clan was about to turn into a cloud of blue smoke to dodge, but suddenly found himself unable to move. Die. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and Zhang Chushuan's voice stayed in the Soul Tribe old man's mind for a moment, and then, the sword light sword, and the Soul Race old man died instantly. The uncontrolled skull was also wiped out by Zhang Chushuan's main soul. Hiccup. 95%. Chapter 376. The prince intervened to deliver the demon beast. Instantly devouring the old man of the soul race who was about to dissipate, Zhang Chushuan's main soul seemed to have a full meal and burped with satisfaction. Of the 3 Soul Clan elders, only one of them was left to fight with Nan Yunche and the others at this time. Seeing this, he distanced himself from everyone and fled in an instant. Without taking the initiative to pursue, seeing that several family owners were only slightly injured, and there was no big problem, Zhang Chushuan said softly, let's go, there will be no trouble next. Thank you Dao Yu Zhang. All the heads of the family thanked Zhang Chushuan in unison, and then descended the mountain together. But as Fang Kai saw, their group did not return according to the original path, and after coming down from the ecstasy cliff, they came to a strange place. This place is considered to be the center of the soul-broken mountain range, inaccessible to people, and powerful demon beasts have also divided their own territory and generally do not move. To avoid disturbing the ancestors' remains, Nan Yunche confessed, put it in the storage bag, and then looked at Zhang Chushuan. Zhang Daoyu, what should I do next? Invisibly, the center of gravity gradually shifted to Zhang Chushuan, and everyone looked at him. Back to South Wind City. Zhang Chushuan himself is fearless. He can explore this soul-broken mountain range. He may be able to get a lot of good things, but with this group of family owners, it is very different. On the way, everyone was silent, and the Tang family master was even supported by others to continue to move forward. Roar. Suddenly, not far from Zhang Chushuan and the others, a heaven-shaking roar came out, and a vibration immediately erupted in the soul-broken mountain range. Countless demon beasts were disturbed and hurriedly fled their territory, and everywhere they passed, a large number of towering ancient trees collapsed with a bang. Nan Yunche rose into the air to observe for a moment, and his face changed. Not good, that group of demon beasts are coming towards us, hurry up and get away. 5. Although everyone has the strength to resist these monster beasts, it is ordinary. Nowadays, the monster beasts are collectively crazy, their strength has skyrocketed, and it is a large group of beasts, and the impact caused by that time, even the power of the king may not be able to resist. The group hurriedly retreated to one side, giving way to the raging monster beast. But in the end, there are still too many demon beasts, and everyone retreats and retreats, but they also find that the beasts will eventually pass by them. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan said coldly, go. The faces of the rest of the heads of the family changed slightly, and Zhang Chushuan rushed against the current and rushed towards the place where the roar broke out. Patriarch Nan, we follow up with Zhang Daoyu. After a little contemplation, Nan Yunche made a decision, and his figure quickly disappeared from the forest. With the help of the branches of the ancient tree, Zhang Chushuan jumped forward, trying to avoid the direction in which the beasts were running, but several times it was still dangerous, and he almost fell into it. After about an hour, he stopped at a plain. Rather than a plain, the water is a large clearing that reveals its ears after destroying the towering ancient trees. The corpses of demon beasts are everywhere here, and many bodies have even been trampled into a puddle of mud, mixed with the soil below, which is shocking. Zhang Chushuan looked around and found that in a cave in the forest, a huge figure was constantly writhing, and the roar seemed to come from its mouth. Its huge body had shattered most of the mountain, and the exposed huge head was constantly churning, as if it wanted to expel something from the body. Shake the earth. When Nan Yunche saw this monster beast, he exclaimed even more. It is rumored that the earth-shaking fire bear is the overlord of the mountain, and it is his territory within a radius of thousands of miles, and idle demon beasts are not allowed to enter. This earth-shaking fire bear seems to be giving birth. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan's eyes lit up. He knew that the earth-shaking fire bear was the king of demon beasts, and when he became an adult, he was even more powerful, and one palm could shatter the mountain and crack the mountain. The fire dragon erupting from its mouth can even melt hard as iron rock, and the destructive power is amazing. Seeing that this earth-shaking fire bear was giving birth, Zhang Chushuan was about to approach to see if he could take his cub, but he was stopped by Nan Yunche. Zhang Daoyu, don't act rashly. Quote. At this time, when the attack power of the demon beast is the strongest, this earth-shaking fire bear, I am afraid that it has the strength of the peak level of the Holy Lord, and it is unknown after going berserk, and it is very dangerous now. 99. No problem, I'm just going to check it out. Waving his hand, Zhang Chushuan didn't care. As early as in the Divine Mansion realm, he could be invincible under the king, and at this time, he was even a Saint Lord level powerhouse. How could he be afraid of a demon beast? Seeing Zhang Chushuan like this, Nan Yunche struggled inwardly for a long time, but he did not dare to step forward. The earth-shaking fire bear seemed to be in pain, and it hissed continuously, but it never shattered the last bit of the mountain to protect the cubs inside. Roar. Sensing the appearance of Zhang Chushuan, the earth-shaking fire bear roared at it, and the strong wind instantly turned the ground upside down, and countless dirt flew with the wind. Don't be nervous, I'm here to help you. Quote. With his hands raised slightly, Zhang Chushuan signaled that he was not a threat to him, and said with a smile, do you still have a son who cannot produce? It doesn't matter, I'll help you. 5. The earth-shaking fire bear seemed to understand people's words, but there was a fierce light in his eyes, and he always maintained a high degree of vigilance against Zhang Chushuan. Slowly coming behind the earth-shaking fire bear, Zhang Chushuan saw that most of the body of a cub had come out, but its head was still in it, and it could not be taken off. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan slowly walked over to the earth-shaking fire bear and stroked the other party's warm body with both hands. The thick hair instantly drowned Zhang Chushuan's hands, and the earth-shaking fire bear turned his head, as if to swallow the other party in one gulp. Snap! Several consecutive palms bombarded the body of the earth-shaking fire bear, and Zhang Chushuan retreated sharply. Roar! Exclamation mark. It instantly erupted into a fierce roar, and the surrounding rocks also crumbled, submerging Zhang Chushuan in the blink of an eye. Zhang Daoyu! Nan Yunche exclaimed, subconsciously rushed over, but a sharp break in the air stopped. This earth-shaking fire bear is not something he can deal with, and he can only send death celebrations in the past. Ahem, cough. Suddenly, a few coughing sounds were heard from the smoke, and under Nan Li Jiao Yunche's stunned eyes, Zhang Chushuan slowly walked out, and gently patted the fire bear. Unexpectedly, a prince and my cousin actually delivered a demon beast. This time, instead of yelling at Zhang Chushuan, the earth-shaking fire bear stretched its huge head towards him, snorting through its nose. Hee hee, how naughty. Pushing his head away with a smile, Zhang Chushuan said, let's go see your child, he needs your care now. Without saying a word, he walked to Nan Yunche, who was still coming to his senses, and patted him on the shoulder. Master Nan, let's go. Okay Daoyu Zhang. Seemingly frightened, Nan Yunche nodded hurriedly, and at this time, the remaining few family owners also arrived, and the huge earth-shaking fire bear before meeting him changed his complexion even more. Be careful, everyone. After communicating with the cub for a moment, the earth-shaking fire bear walked towards Zhang Chushuan and bowed its head in front of him. 95%. Chapter 377. The Beast King Walks, the Origin of the Soul-Broken Mountain Range. Nan Yunche and the others were even more frightened and retreated, their eyes full of horror. Reaching out to touch the other party's thick and warm ear fur, Zhang Chushuan looked satisfied. Do you understand me? The earth-shaking fire bear nodded slightly, but in the eyes of everyone, it was like a terrifying wave. I can understand, human, thank you for helping me. Listening to the voice, it was the voice of a gentle woman. Zhang Chushuan was also stunned, and then laughed. I didn't expect that you could still speak. That's it. 35. A smile gradually appeared on his face, and Zhang Chushuan said to him, do you know what happened in the Soul-Broken Mountain Range and why they are very restless these days? I don't know, but the earth-shaking fire bear just shook his head. I have been preparing for production, and I have not paid attention to things in the mountains for a long time. 5. So it is. Nodding slightly, Zhang Chushuan suddenly had a plan. We want to leave this center, but we are lost, can you send me out? Shaking fire bear pondered slightly, then nodded and agreed. No problem, you helped me, thank you for it. After saying that, the earth-shaking fire bear lowered his head, and it seemed to signal Zhang Chushuan to stand up. Coming to its back, Zhang Chushuan couldn't help but be surprised. 3 silver stripes. 457 earth-shaking fire bears inherit a trace of the bloodline of the ancient fierce beast ice bear, and have the opportunity to awaken its bloodline and evolve into ice bears step by step. When the time comes, they will grow into more powerful fierce beasts, ice and fire demon bears. Generally, the earth-shaking fire bear that awakens some ice bear bloodlines will have a different number of silver stripes on its back, and there are 3 earth-shaking fire bears, and the bloodline of the ice bear in the body is much thicker, no wonder it can spit out words. Your realm should not be like now, only in the early stage of the Holy Lord. But soon, Zhang Chushuan understood that this was nonsense. It had just given birth, and some of its cultivation must have been passed on to his children, and it was normal for the realm to fall. The earth-shaking giant bear didn't care too much, but just looked at Nan Yunche and several other family owners. They are your companions. Yes, if you don't mind, bring them with you. When the earth-shaking fire bear heard this, it did not refuse, and after Nan Yunche and the others stepped on its back, they headed away. Behind him, the newborn bear is also the size of an elephant, and at this time it is curiously following its mother, following the same step. Knock knock. The earth-shaking fire bear is tall, more than a dozen feet, and when everyone steps on it, they feel that they have landed on a small island, and its back is very flat and comfortable. Under the guidance of Zhang Chushuan, the earth-shaking fire bear kept moving forward, seemingly heading towards the outside of the Soul-Broken Mountain Range. On the way, through the mouth of the earth-shaking fire bear, he did know a lot of things in the Soul-Broken Mountain Range. For example, its neighbor is a green bat, and a big fairy. The 3 of them only became neighbors because they were relatively close together, and there were some transitional places with the rest of the Beast Kings that were not under their jurisdiction. By the way, my name is Shang Ran, a surname handed down by my ancestors, which my father gave me. What is your name, human? Zhang Chushuan did not expect that this earth-shaking fire bear would also name himself, Zhang Chushuan. The rest of the family owners said that they were sitting on the back of the earth-shaking fire bear, but they did not dare to say more, but listened to the words of one man and one beast. You guys too. What are you doing in the soul-broken mountain range? Shang Ran suddenly became curious at this time. After all, ordinary cultivators here would not come, and they were only a few humans who could only send them to death. Ah, the Taoist. After thinking for a long time, Nan Yunche felt that this title was a bit normal. Zhang Daoyu came to the soul-broken mountain range to accompany the old man to retrieve the remains of the ancestors. In the past, there were quite a few humans who entered the soul-broken mountain range, but unfortunately, they all came and went. However, I heard that in a more central location, there is a human in seclusion, but I haven't seen him for a long time. Zhang Chushuan and the others were shocked. Isn't this the center of the soul-broken mountain range? Is there a more central place? Seemingly aware of Zhang Chushuan's doubts, Shang Ran took the initiative and said, not far from the soul cliff of the soul-broken mountain range, there is a huge enchantment, and within the enchantment live the royal family in the mountain range. They rule the entire mountain range, and once a beast king fights, they will intervene or directly wipe out all the two beast kings. 5. Nan Yunche was even more shocked. So, they are very powerful. Very strong. Anyone who comes out at random is the power of the king. As he spoke, Zhang Chushuan could even feel Shang Ran's body trembling slightly. Back then, my father was dissatisfied with their rule and entangled a group of beast kings preparing to overthrow them, but in the end, everyone fell silent. After all, this is a past that Shang Ran can't bear to remember. Zhang Chushuan didn't have so many scruples. Aren't they living in enchantment? Who laid this enchantment? I don't know. While walking, Shang Ran shook her head, and immediately smashed all the towering ancient trees around her, but she didn't realize it. This enchantment has existed since a long, long time ago. Perhaps, the soul-broken mountain range was created because of this enchantment. Those powerful people in the enchantment, they originally could not get in touch with the outside world, but in recent years, there are people who can enter and exit. I believe that in the near future, they will completely break through the enchantment. At that time, not only the soul-broken mountain range, but the entire continent, I am afraid it will be their territory. His brows furrowed more and more, and Zhang Chushuan couldn't help but speak. How long has it been recently? How many years ago? About 200 or 300 years ago. My father, too, fought against it at that time. 66.99. He had forgotten that the cultivation of demon beasts was slow and their lifespan was extremely long, and the time of tens and hundreds of years was only a snap of their fingers for them. Blah blah. Suddenly, a strong wind blew around, almost blowing everyone off Shang Ran, and the sky became even more gloomy. Chong appeared and looked up, and found a huge figure hovering in the sky, with chirps from time to time. Shang Ran also saw the other party clearly, suddenly stopped, and said in a deep voice, "Not good, it's a green bat." The cubs are very playful and have unknowingly moved hundreds of feet away from them. She seemed to sense something, and kept calling for her cub to come back, and at the same time rushed over there. But in the sky, the speed of the green bat was faster, and after discovering the traces of her cub, it was even more a dive, and its claws immediately took it away. Shang Ran, this king will take your child away for a period of time. If you think about it, come to Qingyan Mountain to find this king, and wait at any time. Shang Ran's complexion changed greatly, and his mouth continued to roar. Green bat, you, hurry up and release my baby. 95%. Chapter 378. The Battle of the Beast King, the strongest breath, subscription required. At this moment, the figure of the green bat has disappeared from the sky, and Shang Ran is very helpless. Calming down, Shang Ran signaled Zhang Chushuan and the others to land, and then said, "I'm going to save my child, and I can't send you away for the time being. I'll mark a spot nearby. It's my territory. You'd better not go out from here, just wait for me to come back." After saying that, Shang Ran made a large open space near Zhang Chushuan and others, and even made various roars, as if communicating with other demons, beasts. After doing all this, Shang Ran followed the direction in which the green bat left. "Wait a minute, I'll go with you." Zhang Chushuan stopped the other party and said in a deep voice, "Because our children were taken away, I may be able to help a little." The Beast King is generally equivalent to the Human King realm, and Shang Ran was originally too, and it was very easy to deal with green bats. But because she had just given birth to a cub, she had already fallen to the early stage of the Holy Lord, and at this time, she would definitely not be able to beat the other party. Seeing that Zhang Chushuan was also a strong person in the Saint Lord realm, Shang Ran agreed after a slight hesitation. You guys. Nan Yunche and several other family owners were completely dumbfounded at this time. Putting them still in the center of the soul-broken mountain range is extremely dangerous, although there is a part of the territory carved out by Shang Ran, but who knows if the rest of the powerful demon beasts will rush in. On the way, Shang Ran briefly explained what happened, and Zhang Chushuan also understood what was going on. After Shang Ran had just grown into a beast king, he was noticed by the green bat, and at that time, he had been in the soul-broken mountain range for a long time, and there were countless demon beasts under his hands. Although she was not yet pregnant with a cub, she already had a partner. Later, her partner unfortunately fell in a battle, and it was also a long time before Shang Ran found out that she was pregnant with the other party's child. The green bat has been pursuing it regardless of whether she is pregnant or not, but it has not been successful, and the two sides have fought many times. Later, when the birth was approaching, Shang Ran hid herself, and the green bat did not find her until now. I don't know how the green bat learned the news that Shang Ran had given birth, and actually took her cub hostage and forced her to promise herself. This green bat, but also persistent. After listening to the cause and effect of the matter, Zhang Chushuan couldn't help but sigh. Is the love between monsters and beasts so straightforward? I'll do my best to contain the green bats later. You take the opportunity to help me bring back the cubs, and after the matter is done, I will grant you a request. I help you. Not because it is profitable. You can rest assured, once I have the opportunity, I will bring the child back. Nodding slightly, Zhang Chushuan agreed. All the way, about 2 hours later, Shang Ran took Zhang Chushuan to the foot of Qingyan Mountain. This place can be said to be a paradise for flying monster beasts, and not long after approaching Qingyan Mountain, Zhang Chushuan found a lot of flying monster beasts hovering above their heads, and then quickly left, presumably to report the news. Qingyan Mountain rushed straight into the sky, and the tall mountain range could hardly see the top, but Shang Ran relied on his powerful limbs to walk on the ground and soon came halfway up the mountain. After a slight pause, she continued to jump upwards, stepping on a lot of rocks. It seems that the green bat has an order, and without encountering any obstacles, one person and one beast went straight to the top of Qingyan Mountain. There is a huge hall on the top of the mountain, but in Zhang Chushuan's opinion, it is dilapidated, but every demon beast near the top of the mountain is a hall of worship. Boom! Landing heavily on the ground, Shang Ran appeared in front of the hall with Zhang Chushuan, and out of it came a thin man in a green shirt. The man has curly short hair, pointed ears, raw pointed monkey cheeks, and a lot of hair on his skin, which is very obvious under the sun. Raising his thin and sharp right hand, the green bat seemed to greet. Shang Ran, did you think about it so quickly? The king has ordered his men to prepare a wedding banquet, and as long as you are married to the king, I can return your children to you and even raise them as my own. Quote. The sincerity in the green bat's eyes made Zhang Chushuan moved, thinking that there was such an affectionate demon beast in the world. But hearing this, Shang Ran said angrily, put away your despicable face, I will never agree to your request. 35. Give me my child back, otherwise, don't blame me for being unkind. Hee, you are still the same as before, but the king likes it. With a smile on his face, Qingbat said slowly, look, Qingyan Mountain has everything you need, all the resources do not need you to personally risk obtaining, and the subordinates will help us find them. 99. The two of us have become a family, joining forces. That guy from Daxian is definitely not our opponent, can't we occupy a huge territory and go further? But Shang Ran didn't listen to this, but looked at each other with red eyes. Give me back my child. Alas, why be obsessed? 39. Shaking his head, the green bats instantly recovered and said with a smile, if you want to get your child back, first pass the level of this king, or the same as before, let's talk about it after a fight. 35. Roar. Shang Ran couldn't help it anymore. His limbs kicked hard, his figure jumped up, and his giant palm slapped towards the green bat. Waving his wings, the green bat easily dodged, and the smile on his face was even bigger. Shang Ran, you were not the king before, the opponent, but now your strength has fallen sharply, and even more not. Better obediently agree to the king's request, I don't want to hurt you. Quote. Shang Ran would not listen to all this, she just kept shooting towards the green bat, and her huge figure almost shattered the hall above the mountaintop. His face gradually calmed down, and after the green bat dodged for a moment, he said in a deep voice, "In that case, then I have to forcibly let you marry this king." Dragon slash. Suddenly, the green bat flapped its wings frantically, and a cyan whirlwind suddenly appeared in the air, rushing towards Shang Ran. Roar. Taking 2 steps back, Shang Ran opened his huge mouth and spewed out a blazing flame from it, smashing these whirlwinds into pieces and pointing directly at the green bat-faced door. Shang Ran, are you crazy? While shouting, the green bat also became angry and corrupt. You turned a blind eye to my pursuit for so many years for the sake of a dead man's child. Green bat, I only say one word, return the child to me. HMPH. The green bat was also shot out of the real fire, and immediately said angrily, impossible, unless you defeat the king, but this is impossible. 35. Shang Ran stopped talking nonsense and continued to attack frantically. However, the other party is still a beast king for many years, and while dealing with it easily, he did not forget to give Shang Ran a little bitterness. Zhang Chushuan observed the battle between the 2 beast kings for a while, then quietly approached the hall, ready to bring Shang Ran's cub out. So many passages, it's really a green bat. River. 95%. Chapter 379. Watch the shell, and great things will begin. When Zhang Chushuan actually came to the palace of the green bat, he found that it was in all directions, and the outside was only a shell. Because of the battle between the green bat and Shang Ran, there were no more demon beasts in the hall at this time, and Zhang Chushuan went deeper with ease, constantly looking for the figure of the little earth-shaking fire bear. But there are too many passages, many of which are still dead ends. Zhang Chushuan searched many times, but could not find the figure of the little beast. Next to Qingyan Mountain, Shang Ran was still fighting with the green bat, but at this time, Shang Ran's tough fur already had a trace of blood on it, and his breath was also a lot weaker. However, the green bat is not much better, and many holes have appeared in a pair of wings, which were obviously scratched by Shang Ran. Boom. After landing again, the green bats looked at each other and said in a deep voice, Shang Ran, do you really want to die with this king? Do you know that as long as you and I join forces with 460, where can this soul-broken mountain range go? 99. I just want to see my own children. Shang Ran was scarred, and his eyes were even more angry, and he kept yelling at the green bat. Seeing this, the green bat smiled helplessly, and his expression instantly cooled. Since you insist on doing this, then you are not to blame the king. He suddenly rose into the air quickly, and a pair of wings quickly enlarged, covering the sky and the sun, and then swooped towards Shang Ran. Shang Ran suddenly roared, kicked his hind foot hard, and the whole person rushed towards the sky. Boom. The 2 beast kings collided, causing the subordinates of the green bats watching the battle around to retreat one after another, and the huge impact almost shattered all the trees on Qingyan Mountain. In the Qingyan Mountain, Zhang Chushuan was about to continue the search, but met a patrolling group of demon beasts, and the 2 sides were stunned for a moment, and then a big battle broke out. But this demon beast only has the strength of the divine mansion realm, and the rest are only Jaden. Zhang Chushuan wiped out this patrolling team in 3 or 2 clicks. Found you. Seeing a small beast not far away, bumping around, Zhang Chushuan's eyes lit up and walked towards it. However, before he could make contact, he found that between a man and a beast, there seemed to be a transparent film separating them. Reaching out and touching it, the corners of Zhang Chushuan's mouth were slightly upturned. I didn't expect that this green bat beast king still has some means, and he will actually arrange the enchantment, but this can't stop me. 9. Boom. A knife slashed at the enchantment. Qingyan Mountain suddenly shook, and many demon beasts showed shocked faces, not understanding what was happening. The green bat, who was still fighting with Shang Ran, changed his complexion even more, and he was about to return to the mountain, but he was stopped by the other party. Green bat. Hand over my baby. Shang Ran, do you have to ask one of us to die before you stop? But Shang Ran did not answer the other party, and the attack was quite fierce. Whoosh. Like glass shattering, the enchantment in front of him was shattered by Zhang Chushuan. In the end, it is the enchantment arranged by the monster beast. There are gaps in many places, and the enchantment is not so complete. It is enough to resist the general monster beast, but for humans, it is not worth mentioning. The little beast seemed to recognize Zhang Chushuan, and as soon as the enchantment broke, it threw itself down, and its tongue kept licking each other. Okay, your mother is still fighting outside, let's get out quickly. 35. Gently pushing the little beast away, Zhang Chushuan wasted no time and took it outside. The battle between the green bat and Shang Ran continued, and Zhang Chushuan saw this, and after arranging the little beast, he joined the battle groups of both sides. Human, this is a matter between us, do you dare to meddle? I'm sorry, Shang Ran is my friend. Smiling, Zhang Chushuan's hand kept moving, and the sword chi in the sky instantly erupted, enveloping the green bat. In an instant, the green bat wrapped its whole body with huge wings, and the knife chi came in the blink of an eye, bursting on its wings. Humph! With a cold snort, the green bat appeared in front of one man and one beast unharmed. Don't fool around with you today, Shang Ran, when do you figure it out? Come to the king again. After saying that, the green bat soared into the sky, leaving the surrounding demon beast generals and disappearing. My child, hurriedly came to the little beast. Shang Ran licked the other party covered in blood, and 2 crystal teardrops flowed out of the corners of his eyes. The little beast also let out a trace of sorrow in its throat, and the 2 kept rubbing their heads to express their emotions in their hearts. For a long time, Shang Ran came to Zhang Chushuan's side and said sincerely, "Thank you." Smiling slightly, Zhang Chushuan didn't say much. When 1 man and 2 beasts refound Nan Yunche and a few people, it was already evening. 3 days later, Shang Ran said to Zhang Chushuan apologetically, "Friend, I'm afraid I won't be able to send you out. Something big is about to happen in the Soul Broken Mountain Range. You guys should leave quickly." 0. Shang Ran, who was originally calm, suddenly stopped after hearing a roar from the center of the Soul Broken Mountain Range and said to Zhang Chushuan, "I originally thought that those races might take a while to be born, but I didn't expect that they couldn't wait. I also want to find a place to hide well." Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan and the others nodded slightly. "It's okay, you take care of your injuries. If you can't stay in the Soul Broken Mountain Range, you can go to a place called Yanwang Dynasty in Nanyangzhou and report my name, and they will naturally treat you well." Quote. Thank you. Although Shang Ran knew that entering the human world as her demon beast would encounter a lot of trouble, she still nodded and agreed, "Be careful, I will also take the child away." Aha! Watching Shang Ran's mother and son disappear from the mountains and forests, Zhang Chushuan turned to Nanyangche and said to several family owners, "Let's go, I hope there will be no trouble on the road." Zhang Daoyu, thank you this time. Outside the Soul Broken Mountain Range, Nan Yunche originally wanted to invite Zhang Chushuan back to Nanfang City, and he thanked him, but was rejected by the other party. The 2 sides were ready to separate here, and Nan Yunche was even more smiling. If it weren't for Zhang Daoyu, I'm afraid our trip would be full of difficulties, and even the chance of coming back would be slim. I originally wanted to explore 4.4 in the Soul Broken Mountain Range, and I happened to walk with a few Taoists, which was a little more fun. 99. Ha ha ha, good. Laughing a few times, Nan Yunche and several other family owners handed over to Zhang Chushuan. In this case, the old man will not delay your time. I hope we still have a chance to see each other again. When the time comes, you must come to Nanfang City. The old man will definitely welcome you. 99. Hee, there will be a period later. Saying goodbye, Zhang Chushuan also left the Soul Broken Mountain Range, but he knew that he would come back one day, and when the time came, what happened might be even more interesting. Rushing is always boring. Zhang Chushuan was as usual at first, walking in the wilderness, from time to time to catch some game, beating tooth sacrifices, but this kind of day is too many and will be boring. In the back, he is abandoning this way, directly using the teleportation array of each city, to come to the Day Dynasty. 96%. Chapter 380. The Child of Luck reappears. Zhang Chushuan's surprise, subscription required. Day Dynasty Royal City Tianq. The towering city walls are more than a dozen feet high, all made of bluestone weighing several tons. The heavy hardwood gate, painted with red paint, has countless clouds on it. Walking into the city gate, a strong atmosphere of time rushed to the face, in front of which was a road large enough to accommodate dozens of horses in parallel, leading to the royal palace, lined with towering ancient trees, luxuriant branches covering the sky, bringing a touch of shade to the avenue. The city is full of people, and many princes and nobles ride horses, or travel in gorgeous carriages, which is very lively. Walking on the avenue, Zhang Chushuan admired the scenery in the city and nodded slightly. The Wupan dynasty has withstood the suction of the years, has a deep heritage, and there are countless ancient buildings hidden in it. Although Yanwang King City has been expanded at will by Zhang Chushuan, it is vast and boundless, comparable to Tianq City, but it lacks a little historical heritage. However, Zhang Chushuan firmly believes that when time washes away the dust, the great names of the Yanwang dynasty will be known to everyone, and everyone knows that the royal city will also become a well-known place and worshipped by countless people. In it, Zhang Chushuan saw that everyone had a happy look on their faces, and the young man's face was even more vigorous. Presumably the Dai dynasty would develop for countless years in the future and have been standing in the south of Lingzhuo domain. Unfortunately, it ran into Zhang Chushuan, a man destined to make the Dai dynasty history. After walking for 4 or 5 hours, at 10 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Chushuan came to the center of the city, where the buildings were also densely packed and the people in the city were rubbing shoulders, but the surroundings were very quiet, except for the occasional whisper. Zhang Chushuan could hardly hear any noise. Raising his feet and stepping into an inn called Tianxiang Lu, Zhang Chushuan was still talking, and he saw a small man in green clothes walking towards him. Guest officer, stay in the hotel or play sharp. Our restaurant has the best ingredients and comfortable accommodation to ensure your satisfaction. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan nodded slightly. Prepare an upper room, a pot of good tea. Okay, guest officer please. But Zhang Chushuan declined Xing Yi's invitation to go upstairs and instead came to a table facing the street and sat down. Seeing this, Shower hurriedly prepared to go. Guest officer, this is the tea you want, please use it slowly. Nodding, Zhang Chushuan leisurely sipping tea, but his eyes were always concerned about the situation outside the street. Taoist, but waiting for someone. Not long ago, a thick male voice entered Zhang Chushuan's ears, and he looked back to see a man in a black robe, with starry eyes, sharp sword eyebrows, and knife-cutting features, standing aside, smiling and asking. Under Yu Changfang, I see that Taoist friends seem to be waiting for someone. It's just boring alone. Shaking his head, Zhang Chushuan motioned for the other to sit down. The surname Yu in Tiong City is either a nameless person, or the second-ranked Yu family among the 4 major 6-product families, and looking at the appearance of Yu Changfang, it is obviously the latter. Zhang Chushuan, who was thinking about how to open up the situation in Tiong City, did not expect Yu Changfang to take the initiative to send it. How could there be a reason not to accept it? After chatting casually with Zhang Chushuan for a while, Yu Changfang finally couldn't help but explain his intentions. Zhang Daoyu, I don't know why you came to Tiong City. Or, ready to stop in the middle of town. Yu Daoyu has something to say directly. Oh, then there will be no detours. 35. Seemingly shy, Yu Changfang said, I wonder what you think of the 4 major families of Tiong City. The 6-pin family, the strength is good. The 8 words made Yu Changfang a little embarrassed, and when others heard about the 6-pin family, their expressions were more or less reverent. But in Zhang Chushuan's eyes, he didn't see any expression, as if he was above the 4 major families and judged their character. After a long silence, Yu Changfang said in a deep voice, Zhang Daoyu, soon, the 4 major families of Tiong City will hold a big competition between families. At that time, the 4 major families will be re-ranked, and my Yu family is ranked second by luck, so I specially invite Daoyu to join my Yu family. With the cultivation of Taoists, the position of elder definitely has a place for you. When the time comes, glory and wealth, everything. Looking at each other strangely, Zhang Chushuan felt that the other party was the same as the divine stick. Do you come up and say such a thing every time you see a strange cultivator who is lonely? Zhang Daoyu said and laughed. Shaking his head, Yu Changfang also told the truth. Since Taoist friends came to Tiong City, I have noticed you in the next place. If Taoist friends are either waiting for people, or have important things to come, you and I may as well cooperate. What's the cooperation method? Zhang Chushuan was interested for a while, and wanted to hear what Yu Changfang's plans were. Taoist friends help my Yu family maintain the 2nd ranking. If I can go one step further and become the first 6th rank family in Tiong City, it would be great. And what my Yu family can give to Taoists is power. The power to do things casually in Tiong City, as long as you need. My Yu family promises to try to meet your requirements. How? Your Yu family, you don't have the strength to keep the 2nd. This is a long story. Did Taoist friends agree to join my Yu family? In the face of Yu Changfang's avoidance, Zhang Chushuan shook his head slightly. I'm just a loose cultivator, and I'm not interested in family affairs. 35. What if there is a way to recommend Taoist friends to important positions in the dynasty? Yu Chong 460 Feng threw out another bigger bait and said to Zhang Chushuan, in the south of Lingzhou domain, the 5 products are already top. As a loose cultivator, Taoist is nothing more than a headache for cultivation resources. There's a good opportunity at this time, so why not fight for yourself? In Xiaoguan Daoyu, You may be more powerful than the divine mansion true monarch. If you can do things for the Day dynasty, the treatment is naturally not low. Originally, Zhang Chushuan just wanted to see what Ji Yu Chengfeng would say in the end, tempting himself to join the Ji Yu family, but when he heard this, he used the system to observe the other party, and his eyes instantly brightened. Good fellow, another child of luck. Are there so many children of luck now? Seeing that Zhang Chushuan's face showed a strange color, as if he intended to move, Ji Yu Chengfeng continued to follow the seduction. Taoist friends do not let go of thinking about one or two. There is a room in the Tianxiang building in the next place. If Taoists think it through, you can come to Tianxia room to find me at any time. Quote. After saying that, Ji Yu Chengfeng did not stay too much, turned around and went to the top floor of the Tianxiang building. It's kind of interesting, but I don't know what kind of surprise this child of luck can bring me. 35. With a faint smile on his face, Zhang Chushuan slowly finished tasting the tea and was led to his guest room by the Xingyi Xiaoxiao. Coincidentally, Xiaoer directly arranged a top-notch upper room for Zhang Chushuan, which was next to Tianq. For Zhang Chushuan, which was next to Tianq. For Zhang Chushuan.